I need this shit not to break, cause then I will be upset like shit. I'll be super upset. Hello.
Oh, this is gonna be good.
Still have like an hour to like. It depends. We can start immediately at 5, which I don't necessarily. I'm not against.
Well, you got a lot to go through, so
I guess
unless you want to just wait for some people to filter in,
that was one
which
option. I've been playing Unloved.
ah, I'm
This
shining up.
this game has a lot of I don't know, unintentional depth to it, despite being what was a $5 game being given away for free on Halloween. Like, this game should be $35. This is not by no means a fucking shareware video game. Based on a fucking Doom 2 mod or not, this game has depth.
Hmm.
It's not necessarily. Well, what's the way that I could phrase this? This is something that would be more in the line of what I would play to bring to you if I wanted to do something for a Halloween event that wasn't specifically content warning or phasmophobia.
I get you.
That doesn't mean it doesn't have some unfair bullshit inside of it, but most of the unfairness comes from the sense that it actually has a sense of level scaling. If you play on basically the weakest difficulty, you could say that it's the most simplistic party game with a little bit of jump scares and a lot of what the fuck was that around the corner? Oh my god, it's coming at me, straight at me, I can't run away, what the fuck, what the fuck, what the fuck, what the fuck?
Yeah.
In the meanwhile, I'm annoyed. I cannot log into my Twitter account simply because the fucking two-factor will not allow me to do so. And in the infinite wisdom of Twitter, you need to log into your account so that we can be able to see that you have access to your account using a tool that you can't get inside of.
Oh, that's what you get when you factory reset shit. I'm gonna have that fun time when my new phone shows up this weekend. Because I haven't upgraded my phone in 6 years, so Verizon decided to say, oh, if you upgrade your phone now, we'll give you a free fucking Google Pixel 9. Pixel Pro 9. All you're paying, it's technically free. All we have to do is update our line, and pay the taxes, and that's it. So we literally got like 2 phones that are a grand a pop for like $200.
I suppose that's the seal.
It's extremely much a steal, and that's purely because of the plan that we were on, and they wanted us to like stay on our plan because we've been with them for a long time. So because we were gonna go in and get a 256 gigabyte Samsung 24 Plus, but they said, "Oh, you have a deal on your account right now if you want to take that." Yeah.
Fucking Christ almighty. Elon, I want to kick you in the face.
Everybody does.
This system should not be fucking hard.
Eh. Is what it is, it be what it be.
I'm fighting for Twitter Blue. It shouldn't be like this.
No, I ain't paying for that shit. And I'm almost done with work, so woohoo. Wait, when is Veterans Day? Oh, fuck yeah, I get a 4-day weekend next weekend.
Hooray.
Fuck yeah. Well, technically I do. Because I'm taking the 12th off for some medical shit that's going on, like, all day. Yeah, boy. 4-day weekend.
All this because someone used my phone and somehow set a backup password on my fucking authenticator. So when I tried to use my authenticator when it was opened up, it was asking me for a password that I never set on my 2-factors.
Well, at least you didn't have somebody's phone you didn't recognize on your phone plan for the last 6 years and didn't know about it.
Who was on your phone plan?
Don't know. What it looks like is that whoever checked us out put another line on our account. So we gotta call Verizon and be like, hey, you owe us like $4 fucking grand because this is fraud. And the only reason why we didn't it is because hubby doesn't look at the bill and I wasn't an authorized user. So I couldn't see the bill. And now I can. So yeah. Hopefully that's money we'll get back, or we'll get in credits, because getting it in credits would be good too. That's like several years of not paying for our phone bill. Which I will take.
It's certainly better than nothing.
If they'll give us that. That's the big if. We have to call and complain about it and be like, hey. Because that's the only thing we can think of that it was, is because they were saying that it's a phone. It was a Samsung 9 just like ours. Well, we're gonna get rid of. And it was put on the same exact day we purchased them. So there is no other reason why that would be on there besides fraud. Yep.
What I find fun in the infinite wisdom is that I can't access my account, but I can still stream to the back on my account. Okay. This is why I have 2 Twitter accounts. Anywho. Halloween went perfectly. Well, as perfectly as it can go. The obvious happened as soon as I told my mother what my plans were.
I thought you guys were doing a Halloween movie night.
No, I made a plan for everyone to be able to do that. My plan was to go out for Halloween and go to trunk or treats with Star and the grandparents for Zulu, which we did, and they were successful. And I have videos and pictures, which did not get deleted because I have an SD card. But I set an event because it was asked by Aqua in the middle of the month that when Halloween came around, they could have the ability to sit down and watch whatever movies they want. And it looks like not a damn person showed up. Because there's multiple people who promised to show up when the alert was first made, and then posted the reminder, no one was present. But that's okay, because people probably had plans, and they forgot about it.
That do happen.
That do diddly did that dee da do da dee da dee da do. $5:45. Look. See if this what's in here. It does. Lily still a figure of controversy? There is literally no escape. No, there is no escape. Lily Orchard, no matter what franchise or hobby or perplexity that they find themselves a fan of, they will always find a way to make a problem and a nuisance of themselves for everyone else's entertainment, enjoyment, and annoyance.
Yep.
She cannot. They cannot. They're stuck here, being a permanent fucking media lolcow, because their headcanons matter more to them than common fucking sense.
Yeah. Well, it was more so, like, I don't necessarily give a flying fuck that it's her making the content. It's just the topic that's really lighthearted, and her takes are fucking stupid. Like, jaw-droppingly dumb.
The funniest part about this is that this particular bit of cope is brought to us by none other than Anthony Gamuccia, one of the worst content creators, if you want to call him that has ever made material about anything, whose opinion effectively is a little brother to that of a video game donkey combined with the worst of the worst from Mother's Basement. You can't pretend and say that he's not anything close to him, because he would be the target if it weren't for the fact that the left wing loves to play the angle of, well, at least we're not that guy. And it's like, no, you guys are that person. It's just that right now, you're not as dumb as her in this moment, but you're still fucking stupid.
Yeah. The only thing, I don't know much about him. I've only watched a couple of videos from him, most of them having to do with Lily Orchard, just because I'm fascinated with her at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And the dumpster fire that she is, especially because of June the King's video on her.
Mm-hmm.
But his takes, when it came to the Pokemon video, I didn't disagree with anything. It was a lot more educated than you would have expected. Like, he actually plays the games and actually knows what the fuck he's talking about.
On another day, I would say something along the lines of course it's the bitch ass plays Pokemon, because I know the fuck you don't go online and play multiplayer games, but today, we're going to allow him to be the resident expert.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, inside of Horror Scare Me Land, there have been times I have actively jumped in my fucking chair playing this fucking video game because of how these enemies move.
That's gonna be me pretty soon, because I decided I'm just gonna record Lost in the Darkwood remainder of that. I'm just gonna record it on my own time, and then I'm gonna stream Lost in Vivo, because my husband suggested it. I want some actual spook.
See, it's not so much that this game does something like, say, what Mortal Sin does, where if you're inside of a scare zone for too long, it physically pulls you into a jump scare and drains your HP. No, in this one, the enemies, they crank up. Actively. In front of you.
Like filling floor.
Yes. Oh, see? There she goes! They move like non-Euclidean targets inside of Gmod. Sometimes, they just decide, no, I'm gonna walk 15 degrees to the left, and I'm gonna spin around, and I'm gonna do a pirouette, I'm gonna disappear, and then show up right behind you 5 seconds later.
Oh, the Killer Clown's nice. Killer Clown.
With homing meteors that you need to be close to a wall to be able to stop them from fucking ricocheting behind you and killing you.
Oh, hi.
And nurses.
Hi, nurses. I see what you mean.
This is the middle quality difficulty. So some of these enemies have a chance to spawn as something called a rotten, which is even more annoying and or strong version of them. You have the ability to start with certain kinds of weapons that then get certain buffs. Too many to explain to demonstrate at this moment without showing you the tutorial menu. But I chose to use a pistol that has increased damage, and not always promised in every map is a... Ouch. I should not be walking to meteors. Is a range of 6-ish weapons. Ish, because some of them are not necessarily true weapons, they're like difficulty changes of the weapon. But minimum 5, as you can see on the side there. Which then get mods. They get amplified throughout the entirety of the map, but everything you do generates a form of residual heat that then spawns enemies. That's what the red and yellow text in the chat room was.
I getcha.
The ultimate goal is there are blood machines, a total of 7, that drain 7% of your life each. So, doing it with more people means you have more health to go around for everybody, because this can get very, very, very dangerous very fast, and some people won't have enough health to spare for it.
Yeah.
Unlock each of the rooms by obtaining all of the basic keys, and then after activating the machines, get the fuck out of Dodge before you get overwhelmed. So it's a bit of a balancing act. You need to explore, and the weapons you, or rather the ammunition you pick up off the ground, will generate less heat than the ones you pick up inside of buildings. It's a balancing act between not generating so much heat that you get completely overwhelmed, but also picking up exactly what you need when you need it and only the things you need. Because you have no idea what's going to summon a horde. And having your head on a swivel. Like so. It's very cathartic.
Seems like it.
I regret not streaming the very first instance of me playing it yesterday. If you think the sounds that came out of my mouth on your birthday was something, oh boy, that first round was something.
I'm a man, the skin of black. Oh, that's fun. That was fun. Probably would have been more fun if Hubs was around, but we didn't wake up till like right after it ended.
The bitch won't go down!
I don't want to die. I want to kill you. What it's saying. I know, die, you die. Now it die. Big Chongus.
Oh, shotgun.
Give me something that I can actually go hunt.
Hello, Casey.
Hey.
Also, in the meantime, everyone, if it would do me a great service if you could try to tweet at Twitter's support to get them to help assist me with getting access to my account. This is too many.
That should be gay.
A witch too? Now I'm probably dead here. But yeah, that's more or less the game, but ad nauseum, and sometimes with unreal levels of unfairness. Like, why the fuck did I get at least every single top tier enemy within the first 5 summons? That's not nice, even if the map is small. 525. As for trinkets, your stats and your power gets affected by all this shit. Pretty much, you do higher difficulties to get better versions of these.
Gotcha.
Games. One person, kill them all. 13 rooms. You can either make a game or you can join a game. Preferably helpful to join other people's games because more people means higher percentage chance to survive, and the higher the room count, which the room count goes up to large, no, huge, the more karma points that you're rewarded, and the more potential drops that you can be able to acquire and then bring back out when you extract. It's Not necessarily an extraction horror game, but it kinda is. I do this until 6 o'clock. Kicked by host. No other kill them all games. Twisted Small. Time to die. Try not to get owned this time. So that's a horrible. So the yellow one means a small amount of spawns. The red one means a big amount of spawns. And that was literally 2 interactions. It's as RNG as it can get.
Yeah.
There's a bit of strategy when it comes to being able to defend yourself, but no weapons means you're not defending shit.
Yeah.
The only downside that I don't like about this game is that everybody gets the same skin. They just get different colors. Main reason is so that you can tell each other apart when you're looking at each other on the map. But me, I would have liked a full map conversion mode. I would have preferred to look like different kind of horror creatures, fighting other horror creatures. Some kind of mod that does something to the pictures that makes it look like Slender the 8 Pages. Something. All this is the work of one man. And this man cooked.
Like we're getting greedy.
That creature's a witch. I'm breaking line of sight because that's the only way it kills. If I'm not in its line of sight, it doesn't do its half health destruction attack. If I'm in its on its sight, I take the damage no matter what, and it goes through armor. So right now all the other enemies around me are acting like it's armed guards. Ow. It is possible to kill them with the starter weapons. It's not that the weapons are weak. It's just the scenario that you put, like that you get put in, dictates whether you live or die. There's an itty bitty bit of skill involved, and that's mostly aiming, because you will get fucking scared by how many enemies are around you.
I see.
Did I not pass by a pistol box? Or is it all shells? No, it was all shells. There is a melee attack, but it's not very good without being kitted for it. I might try that next if nothing else works, because honestly, it gets annoying really fast how these enemies fight.
The last 30 minutes. Whee! Well, 20 seconds.
Oh, fuck. My life for a machine pistol. That's not a machine pistol. The only other alternative when something like that happens is to fucking run and hope you don't run into something worse. Please be a good totem. Not really what I call a good game.
Did you see that Mr. B put a response?
I did. I mean,
It's wild.
I don't see how he doesn't immediately sue Dogpack here.
He should.
Because after the video that he dropped and the cope that he's been putting out, it's the same thing that Colin Moriarty needs to do to Grums. Because, ironically, even though I was on my secondary account, Grums actually did respond to me calling him out, and he's basically giving non-answers to people, pointing out that he made up a news story, involved him in said news story, then acted as though anything that he says is equivalent to what he needs to do, and that's to go on to Sacred Symbols and eat shit. In Dogpack's situation...
I would just ask him where the updates are to Invader. Is that what it's called?
Say again?
I would just ask him where are the updates to Invader? What's the updates to your game, buddy?
Oh, of course. That's like half the shit that he was up in arms against Sid Alpha for calling him out on the fact that he hasn't got the shit done. Because every single platform he's gone on, not to say that every platform that he's been platformed by is in on his shit, because most of them are not. It's just they bring them on for what they're interested in, and anything that's outside of their interest, they ain't talking about. But every platform that he's gone on has been sympathetic and or was willing to give him the ability to run away from a situation should he be confronted. Very much friendly media.
I love the fact that Sid's like, hey, you got 45 days to give me some progress on your game. So didn't he even do that? The only game that he was working on was Twitter.
Now, you could say a lot about fucking Twitter activists. They're worth little to nothing. But there is an argument to where, well, Carl, all he did was just post tweets. You can't get mad that all he did was post tweets. Ah, but see, now we're not in the realm of posting tweets anymore. I see, Mr. Clown. Come on, Mr. Clown. I know you're on the around that corner. But, because we're no longer in the realm of posting tweets, we're in the form of, libelous slander, he makes an accusation claiming something with a fake NDA that both parties in question, the person who is accused of leaking, and then the owner of the company that he's defaming itself, saying, not only is this bullshit, but you need to come onto the show so you can come eat shit about how this is bullshit. And the best that he can give to people in reply is, I already responded to the thread. I didn't say that it was his NDA. I said that this could possibly be fake even. That's not what you said. And you know that's not what he's accusing you of. Because we all know that when you say something like that in that regard, it's the same thing as accusing me of being a pedophile, or accusing her of being a man-eater and a husband stealer. You're gonna have to stand on business, and you're gonna have to show where you got your links and sources from. Because it's the same thing that Dogpack... How did you get around me? Because it's the same thing that Dogpack needed to do when he made that story with Frosino. Because it was all, haha, look guys, there's mold in the lunchlies. Look, this product is bad! And then you accused them of having child porn on the company servers. And you got it wrong. And instead of addressing how you got it wrong, you're instead insisting a bunch of words that is not, I apologize because I got it wrong. Nothing else you say fucking matters. You got it wrong. So the direct response from anyone concerning those stories that he reports on now, should he report on any other story that has anything extremely verifiable as bullshit, to the point that it should be community noted, should be go onto their show and address the record live on air with no one to hugbox you. He's not going to do it. I know for a fact he's not going to do it. Because the only way that he's had a platform doing this script right now has been being platformed by non-hostile media. The second a person outside of the quote culture war hones in on his shit, he's done. And he knows it. Living on a hope and a prayer of the same fucking 5 bullets on Ghost Chance. Now, me personally, if I were Elon Musk, I would take notice of the fact that such an individual is using my platform to spread false information while masquerading as a journalist, and I would hold him to an actual journalistic standard. Now, it's not going to happen, but that's what I would do. If it was based on any modicum of reputation and reporting, like most of our work has to be, so many people would be on top of this. But unfortunately, that's not the case right now. Simply because he and others are their particular news reporters of choice. But fucking Twitter account or not, I'm reporting that situation. Because I want to see what happens. Because I can already tell that it seems that he's hoping that he can just move on to this next game he decided to use as his skull-packing talking point. I have gotten a player. I believe it's a game that looks like what America would have looked like if America had been conquered in the 70s by Japan. I've posted updates to it inside of the server. I just don't recall what the name of it is right now at the moment.
I don't know.
But first post that he made after it was basically trying to get people to say, "Look, guys, what would you prefer? Would you prefer this game or Dragon Age: The Veilguard?" It's like, no, don't you let your bitch ass away. Where's any mention of any of the shit that you're supposed to be talking about right now?
Here. Where is it? Where's the boss? Cause see, even I was late on posting my video. Granted, I was late a day. Well, guess what? Kept everybody updated, and I posted it a day late. Why can't you do that? Oh, because you're playing Twitter. And I have a job, and I have a husband I take care of. Twitter. Oh, I got you. You don't have a life. I got it. We'll be literally like no bitch's behavior.
Sometimes I wish my fucking media choice was taken seriously like a real fucking work. Because then somebody gets sued for this. Also, if you run of course there's a doctor standing behind me. Because the other player's not actually paying attention to my 6 for me. But, if you do run public lobbies, because you can play by yourself and you can win by yourself. If you run public lobbies, you have a 66% chance, even when you level restrict it for actual skill, that the players are going to play like ass.
Wow, shocker.
And then he immediately leaves.
Wow, shocker. I'm shocked, I tell you. Shocked.
Oh, that's lovely. Time. 5:46, close enough.
Oh, was it time?
Yes.
Oh, fun. Oh, goody. Oh, goody. so excited. Ah, heck. Talking about Pokemon whilst playing Pokemon. Ah, that's the greatest shit ever.
Pokemon is old. Really old.
I might actually make a series out of this video. Just taking each of the different parts of it. Each generation and then just reacting.
Pokemon is old. Really old. You just won't believe how vastly, hugely, mind-bogglingly old it is. For the main series alone, that spans 38 games in less than 30 years, it's unbelievably massive in scope. I mean, people say Kingdom Hearts has been going on a long time, but not counting remakes, that series only has 13 games, and when you really think about it, only 7 are required.
Okay, so let's consider what we have in front of us. If you do not include every single fucking entry, and you just take a entry from the era, depending on whether or not it was one of the rare ones, like yellow, or silver, or emerald, there would technically be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
She's missing 2 mainline games in there too.
Yes.
Actually, she's missing 4.
That's
Ultra
so
Sun, Ultra Moon, and both of the Go games.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all mainline games.
Mm-hmm. Fucking Christ. I got
see
already.
Heart Gold or Soul Silver in there? No. Do I see Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire? No. Do I see Shining, is it Shining Pearl and Brilliant Diamond?
Yes.
No.
Already, from when I started counting, I can already tell it was off count. Okay, so...
And here's even better. Some of these, she doesn't even cover. Mm-hmm. She has Black 2 and White 2 in here. She doesn't even talk about it.
So, looking from the count, from where we start, we've already got some problems. Let's break out the fucking notepad. Okay, so, number one problem already off the top of my head, off the top of the scope, off the top of the rope. Number one, you think that I guess you could call them remasters, the remaster Pokemons are not entries in of themselves. You think that they are either separate, or that by covering the original game, you've done enough, to which the answer is no. I'm pretty sure...
Wait, there's 2 more she's missing. She's missing Leaf Green and Fire Red, so that's at least 8 games. 8 to 10 games that she does not have accounted for in this, that I can just think of off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
You dumb bitch. Shaking my head. As a nerd and a lover of the Pokemon games, to the point where I'm shiny hunting right fucking now. This making me angry.
Alright, notepad. Boom. And get smaller. And move the article crop. And take the chroma key. And we're good. Okay. First problem. That's not how you spell incomplete, Carl. First problem. Lily Orchard, either through sheer incompetency or through stunning levels of ego, confounds and conflates remakes and remasters as the same games, and then makes fun of the game series for being old.
Mm-hmm.
And then number 2, this is where I get pissed off.
It's unbelievably massive in scope. I mean, people say Kingdom Hearts has been going on a long time, but not counting remakes, that series only has 13 games, and when you really think about it, only 7 are required.
Then, number 2, conflates it to Kingdom Hearts.
Which hasn't been around even half as long as Pokemon has.
Mm-hmm. And then you mock the game series for only having 7 relevant entries.
You're gonna see a pattern, ladies and gentlemen, if she conflates everything with all of the stuff that she actually has any knowledge in. Like, I don't know, Steven Universe or She-Ra. Or Gamer Gators. That's even funnier.
Not the goober gay. Oh, fucking Christ. Okay, so we already did this the other day, but for contingency's sake, Kingdom Hearts has several entries. Some of those entries are on what would be considered side-hand multiplayer instance games. So, Chain of Memories, single player, Game Boy Advance, was where they started doing the digital tearing and horribly bad pre-rendered cutscenes being used on Game Boy Advance display features. Not very good, is literally the reason why Chain of Memories was even done. As well as other games. Chain of Memories and Recoded. Kingdom Hearts 1. And Kingdom Hearts Final Mix. And Kingdom Hearts 1.5 and 2.5 are literally different games. If I go by the sales pack on Steam,
rated E10 for ages 10 and up.
The Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 and 2.5 remastered collection of 6 unforgettable Kingdom Hearts experiences is literally a game that you cannot skip, because all of it is literally the first 6 stories that make up the knowledge of all the things people get confused about, because the games themselves, either in Coded's case, was only on the DS. In a version of Recoded, which was on phones, was a horrible continuation of those games. And then this is not even accounting for Union Cross. Like, technically it would have been just Kai, but Union Cross / Dark Road, all of that, which has to do with the Kingdom Hearts Keyblade War, which then is directly referenced in the exclusive time-locked opportunity that everyone was provided to be a Kingdom Hearts player whose Keyblade appeared during the Keyblade Rush flurry in that cutscene for, I forget the name of the fucking guide character. It's one of the characters from the era of the Lands of Light, before the Keyblade War happened.
I haven't played Kingdom Hearts in forever.
I want to say Ephemius. Somebody in the chat probably has it on hand. But, Kingdom Hearts Final Mix, Chain of Memories, Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, 358 Days Over 2, with the HD cutscene compilations for both it and Recoded, and then Birth by Sleep Final Mix. All of these games are literally like maybe 2 games each compacted into one, because just like in Final Fantasy's case, Final Fantasy International is not the same game as Final Fantasy X HD 2.5 package with 10.2. It's not. It's not even close. And the reason why is because that extra material that was not originally in Final Fantasy X being included into Final Fantasy X. That means all the additional quests, that means the Super Boss Penitence, that means the Lightning Dodge puzzle, that means all of the final form weapons and all of the extended upgrades, that means the Monster Arena, that means the proper way to go about the finality of the Yojimbo quest, all of it. That didn't exist in the American region. It only existed in the Japanese region. If you leave out those repackages, you have effectively lied to people. Because with the material that was then brought into 1.5 for Final Mix and Final Mix 2, you fail to now understand key necessary knowledge about the lore. And Lord, I know the lore of fucking Kingdom Hearts is fucking annoying and confusing without even involving the power of waking. Like, Dream Drop Distance and Kingdom Hearts 3 and its Remind extension is a fucking pot shot that breaks your mind to begin with. But that doesn't mean shit if you do what she just did. That's like me telling you, oh, yeah, the way that you can understand all of the MCU films is only watch the Avenger films. Only the Avenger films matter. You don't need to watch any of the introduction stories. No, skip Iron Man 1, skip Iron Man 2, skip the Incredible Hulk. Also skip any entry featuring Spider-Man. Any solo hero in their own product. They don't matter. Only the Avengers matters. Only Avengers 1, 2, 3, Infinity War, and Endgame. And that's it. Nothing else matters. Anything else is a waste of your time. That is so brain-meltingly frustrating. I cannot... Well, no, I am beginning to explain to you. But, no, this is a lie. You're lying. You're fucking lying.
Pokemon's been around longer than some of you have been alive. It's a more common household name than Mickey Mouse. I've grown up...
It's not.
Some people have been only alive as long as Kingdom Hearts have been alive, because most of us were children when we played it. But that's also not a cope.
With Pokemon just as much as I've grown up with other game franchises. But the question is, how do they actually hold up? Pokemon as a franchise is steeped in nostalgia. It's a common sentiment that your favorite generation is the first one you played. Heated discussions about which generation was the best can get dominated by the generations that mark themselves a generational divide. But how much of that is based on things that just don't exist anymore? Many of these games have features that don't work and take far too much time to really dig into, and which you needed to enjoy the game already to get the most use out of. See, when people talk about the Pokemon games, I feel they tend to get bogged down in the features or the memories. Nostalgia is a very powerful tool, especially with some of the mid-gen games. To hear some people talk, for instance, you would be forgiven for thinking that Generation 1 was this magical experience that changed people's lives. But in reality, it was just the first open-world game on a handheld console. To hear people talk, you would think the Unova games had this deep, rich story that dealt with complicated, mature topics. But in reality,
The first open world game on a handheld console. She's got to be kidding me.
I'm pretty sure that goes to Legend of Zelda. If you're not accounting for the NatHack era of A6 games.
Ah, my brain hurts.
it's actually a story about the very weak premise of, well, I sure do love opinions, and yeah, it's kind of a you had to be there bit. But my question is, can you still play these games without the nostalgia today when all you have is the main game, the competitive scene is dead, and half the features don't work anymore? Can you still...
Yes, it's called You're Not a Competitive Player. Buy the game and play the fucking game. What the fuck? You don't need to be a part of the FGC in order to play a fighting game. You don't need to be a signed professional in order to play League of Legends. You don't need to be a content creator to play fucking Once Human.
There are many channels that make a living off of playing the games without it being the competitive scene, nor just playing the generic game of it. There's randomizers. There's then we fight challenges. There's shiny hunting. I'm doing it right now. There's so much you can still do, but yet you won't because you can't fucking focus on anything. You don't actually give a shit or know anything about these games at all, even after playing them.
Still play Gen 3 without friends to record mix with, and you play Gen 4 without friends to crawl around the underground with? These games still have a main storyline and a progression path. Does that part hold up on its own? And most important, did it ever hold up at all? Do these games hold up as RPGs? That's the premise I'm working through. How does...
Yes. You're talking about it. It's still alive. Yes.
Pokemon hold up as a game, rather than a loose collection of memories. Well, in this monstrous nightmare project I've tentatively called a video, we're about to find out. This is a complete retrospective on Pokemon.
It's not a complete pause. It's not a complete retrospective. You're not going to talk about any of the remakes. You're not going to talk about Pokemon Go. You're not going to talk about Black and White 2. You're not going to talk about Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. That's not a complete retrospective. It's not. You're wrong. It's an incomplete retrospective. And it's not even really a retrospective because you don't pay attention to anything, which we will find out very soon.
Oh, and then you're just talking shit about all the fucking Oh, man, that's...
All the rivals.
Oh, God. Oh, man.
Back that ass up.
Okay, first off, we have your boyfriend.
No. He hates you. He very much dislikes you.
Oh, fucking Christ. The guy who won't shut up about Fight Club. Uninspired poet. A squirrel on ketamine.
Do you even know what ketamine is?
I don't think many people know what ketamine is. I don't think many people know what ketamine is.
It's horse tranquilizer. Like, what? What?
They just heard a word and it's like, nah, that sounds about right. The guy who made that tweet about owning Nessa.
Good job on boiling down one of the best rivals you've ever had in the series to this minute. Oh, if we get to that part, you're gonna love what she says about this guy. You're gonna love her take. I mean that sarcastically. You're not gonna love it. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna make you so mad on so many levels, especially since you've experienced what he experiences. If you know anything about N's story.
Set, filet,
What the fuck does that mean?
French words. It's spelled in the French way. I can only assume this has to be some kind of a French horse joke.
This girl. Safik, what does that mean? I must know.
Assuming it's not shorthand for sapphic, therefore calling them a lesbian.
It is. This girl, Safik. This girl's sapphic.
Ah, yes, another one. Lesbian.
Yeah. No.
Wrong weaseling.
What?
That's what it says. Starring.
It's supposed to be a joke on Ron Weasley.
Jock M-O-N. I saw the correct starter. Yes.
Meganium. No, it's not. It is the absolute worst of the three.
Dom Granite. This is just me gay jokes now.
These are her favorite Pokemon, apparently.
Lizard Cat.
Lizard Cat.
Ghost Friend. The Aristocrat. That went by very quick.
Garbage Baby. Okay, yeah, okay.
Murder Bug. Angry Celery.
Her girlfriend, her actual waifu.
Capitalism working as intended. Capitalism is when kids in school?
My eyes.
Or is the capitalism working in as intended the Pokemon franchise?
I guess she's talking about the school setting in the newest set of games. Makes no sense, but okay.
I mean, if capitalism worked as intended, Giovanni would just own the entire Pokemon world, no?
Yeah.
Like, let's be dead ass. Like, Italian mobster gets access to the oldest Pokemon in existence and then makes a clone of him. Then fits him out with the equivalent of fucking armor. I'm sorry, Mewtwo would have crushed the entire world underneath their feet, and then they would have crushed Giovanni, and then we all would have been slaves to Pokemon. Or, Giovanni rules the world with an iron fist, you don't do what he says, you get uppercutted by a Mewtwo 3 continents away from the tournament that you were just at. You get told by Team Rocket, take a dive in the fight, or your mother's gonna come into a really bad accident with a Rapidash, but you don't live anywhere near its normal habitat. Well, okay, alright. We don't like capitalism.
Yeah, Galaxy Dragon says that she's pointing out how buggy it is. Scarlet and Violet had massive frame issues on launch. She's not that smart. No. No.
Gen 1, the OG, the retro, the... God, what are some other flowery words for old? The vintage, there we go. It's in vogue these days to kind of trash on Gen 1 for its glitches and lack of content and oversaturation of modern Pokemon and terrible artwork and messed up approach to game balance and excuse plot.
It was the start.
Oh, fuck.
Bitch, where?
It was the start. Even if you wanted to say that, it was the start. What is this fucking video game donkey bullshit you're trying right now? I'm so sorry. It was the start.
Where? I watch PokeTubers like crazy. I watch people talk about this stuff. Not a single one has made any of the points that she's just made. None.
Well, this is tourist points. These are not actual points in the position of honesty. This is we'll see people talk about this game, but there's not really anything to do in here. The fuck?
Much to do, you fucking dumbass. That's why they still, to this day, play this game for speedruns. To this day, play it for like the sheer value of the game. There's a reason why it keeps being put on different ports or ported to different platforms.
Now, me personally, I think they should just, as a honest to God fucking celebration of Pokemon, they should just make every single version of the original Generation 1 ROMs just free. Like, I see no reason why not to. Like,
I agree, but they won't. That's money. That's
of
on the
course
table.
not. Fucking Nintendo! But this whole, the game has no content shit, this is the same shit that I got a video game donkey about, which then led to me buying a digital version of Dragon Quest XI's. The insistence of ensuing that you don't like JRPGs because you hate how turn-based games are, and then when the game is made in 3D, which doesn't take away the essence of the turn-based nature of it, it just makes it so that you now have the ability to run away from a physical combat. Whereas in the 2B setting, using the random encounter system, you would have just encountered a fight, which is something I actively used on and off again in my playthrough for it. It's what led to me to just debunk every single thing that Video Game Donkey did, and then complained about and said with how much they hated the basic system of random encounters to you're being forced to grind for bosses, when really all you have to do is just not skip basic zones, explore a little bit, like maybe 30 minutes. Granted, 30 minutes every session adds up, but 30 minutes of your time actually exploring the map. And you will find the things that they're claiming you can't fucking find. In any bit of infinite fucking wisdom. The problem with this take that she just gave about the game having no content is, number one, you want a Game Boy Color and a Game Boy Pocket era video game to have the kind of content you'd expect inside of the first Descendant? That's not happening. I'm sorry. Even then, the amount of the accusation to say lack of content when Pokemon, right there in its own world design, is basically a reiteration of The Legend of Zelda, in that I mean the original Legend of Zelda. An entire map, charted out, in a grid, with ins and outs, and puzzles, and dungeons that must be defeated, and or acquire items in, to then figure out where to go next, take away the light this random bush in this corner on fire, and that's the dungeon for level 4, and replace it with, you see this maze here? Because of the way that it's been designed on this GBA grid, you physically cannot space yourself in this way to get around this zone without walking through these zones, and just out of line of sight, there's going to be an enemy that's going to walk forward into the encounter that we've planned for this, and that's the zone. That's Pokemon Gen 1. To put that into context, there's another GBA game, ironically designed in the exact same prospect, which got itself a remaster, that in the form of Link's Awakening, where there's an entire section where the design of the system is meant to be that, but without the pull you into a Pokemon battle, but instead you can only explore the zone by figuring out where to go by trial and error. All of Pokemon's maps were designed not just so that players could spend time in the tall grass trying to find whatever Pokemon they were particularly looking for before they even instituted a day and night system, but was designed so that you spent time finding those Pokemon by exploring the map and making use of the random encounter system. Ergo, that lack of content literally is the content. Your fun came from playing the game and figuring out where the random encounter zones for each monster to be found and captured is. And then getting the money to get the Pokeballs, being able to fight the trainers, getting the TMs and the HMs to be able to have the movement and or skills to explore, to go get the random items sitting off in a corner. You know what I'm talking about, horror. All of these things is content. She had to step away. All of these things is content. To say that that's not content is bullshit. It means that you weren't playing the fucking first games to begin with.
She's not playing any of them to begin with. You'll find that out pretty soon.
I'm pretty sure they even had the fucking the map on screen, didn't
But I
they?
found that the trashing is fun, and terrible artwork, and messed up approach to game balance, and excuse block, and simplistic antagonist, and the fact that none of the DS— oh fuck, I wasn't supposed to say that one. But I found that the trashing is done without merit. Or flowery word. Gen 1, the OG, the retro, the— God, what are some other flowery words for old? The vintage, there we go. It's in vogue these days to kind of trash on Gen 1 for its glitches and lack of content.
It's not.
Okay. On screen
Caves.
is an example of, quote, lack of content. I'm pretty sure this is that one cave, no?
Cerulean Cave, yes.
So
Where you get that's Mewtwo right there, I think.
So, the entirety of this zone, you enter into the map. There is, and this entire zone is random encounter enabled. So, you have at least 2 items, plus Mewtwo on the side, and then a ladder to get to another zone. The entire content of the zone is to get these 2 pieces of, I don't think they're candy. I forget what the items are in question. But
there are a bunch of different items. It could be anything.
the entire content of the zone is effectively an opportunity to catch Mewtwo. This is where you save scum to get Mewtwo. And then, I don't know if anybody, the rest of you had it, but I did. The Pokemon Stadium Nintendo 64 plug packs. You plug them into the back of the controller, you put your fucking cartridge into it, and you could play the game on your screen with what basically became the prototype of the Game Boy player in every single generation of Nintendo console that enabled it. The Super Game Boy player for the GameCube, the Nintendo Game Boy player in the sense that you could at least play the Pokemon games on Stadium and Stadium 2 when Gold and Silver came out. This was your opportunity to keep a save file of one version of Mewtwo that lived forever. It was basically Pokemon Home, for those of you who don't know. Pokemon Home before Pokemon Home became a thing. A place for you to keep copies of your characters inside of the Pokemon Stadium cartridge so that you could spend time preparing a team for the Elite Four. Fight them on the Stadium copy. Bring that team that you had on your file into and then back and forth inside of other people's games alongside the item boxes to create at least multiple infinite copies of Mewtwo to then bring to other people. Granted, an entirely whole different game in order to do that twice, but that was literally an era for at least 5 years of people's entertainment value. Both for Pokemon 1 and Pokemon 2, because this was also enabled for Pokemon 2 as well. You just had to get
Stadium 2.
You just had to get Stadium 2 to do this. And this was also true even if you had an internal battery for it as well. But this was before a lot of those batteries would go bad. I don't know if this was also possible with Crystal. I only had a copy of Gold and Silver to work with.
I don't know. I don't think I ever tried it with Crystal.
Still, to say that the encounter to capture Mewtwo is a lack of content, that's either you rage baiting, which it has to be, or that's you not understanding and not getting it. The same way other people who do shit like this say this. This is Crow Cap level opinions. This is Video Game Donkey level of retarded opinions. Because you don't compare it by the modern standards of video games that exist now. You compare them by the world that the game exists in. Change your perspective and change your mindset. If you can't do that, then Pokemon's not for you.
And oversaturation of modern Pokemon, and terrible artwork, and messed up approach to game balance, and excuse plot, and simplicity.
I'm sorry, was that Mega Evolutions?
It was. It's not even Gen 1.
Gen 1, the OG, the retro, the... God, what are some other flowery words for old? The vintage, there we go. It's in vogue these days to kind of trash on Gen 1 for its glitches and lack of content and oversaturation of modern...
Why are you making fun of Charizard?
Probably because he's a Gen 1 Pokemon, and he... the only thing that I will give her is that, yes, there are a lot of different Charizards. And there are a lot of different Venusaurs and a lot of different Blastoise, because they all come in the same package.
It's not my fault you ain't got a Pokemon that you can sing a song like Big Man Blastoise 2. I'm sorry, what would you like? Quick girl, Rapidash, quick girl, shut your bitch ass up.
Modern Pokemon, and terrible artwork, and messed up approach to game balance, and excuse plot, and simplistic antagonist, and the fact that none of the DS... Oh, fuck, I wasn't supposed to say that one. But I found that the trashing is done without merit, or at least from a very wrong-headed place. Most arguments against Gen 1 cite the lack of tertiary features, the lack of a story, and the bugs. But personally, most of those are positive, not a negative. It might not have a story, but having played the games that have one, honestly, I'm glad it doesn't. I'm glad there's still a Pokemon game out there, as flawed as it is, that just lets you go on your own adventure. It's something I feel Pokemon's gotten too far away from as the years go on. It's hard to introduce Gen 1 because its main selling point is that it was the first. Nothing in the games has remained only in those games. All of its mechanics are just the baseline mechanics of every Pokemon game. So let's just jump right into it and get this ball.
Meaning that it is the backbone of the entire franchise, and if nothing in Gen 1 worked, then nothing would have worked, period?
Yep.
So in Gen 1, we start off getting to name our rival because his grandfather can't remember his grandson's name. So wait, I can't believe I'm making a tangent, but isn't it weird that between this and him asking you your gender in the Gen 3 remake, the latter became more memed on? Gen 3 has gender select and the weird parody webcomics come out in full force. Honestly, Professor Oak was ahead of his time. He doesn't assume.
You mean the people who have the same level of not understanding Robot Chicken to it meaning making it possible that Seth Green has to say, if you don't have a love of 80s shit, then us making fun of things on Adult Swim on Robot Chicken is just gonna look like us shitting on it, because our satire comes from a place of love and yours comes from a place of either reviled hatred or apathetic misanthropism.
I'm gonna say it's apathy.
I honestly want to believe it has to be apathy, because no one could give this level of a passionate, dispassionate breakdown than somebody who either cares a lot but wants to pretend that they don't care, which is just fucking irony poisoning. And shame on you for doing that. It was something that you, quote, love, but you just gotta tear it a new one. Or two, has to be vile hatred for the purposes of gaining clicks. Because then it's just the normal opinions, but this time, trans-based.
The ally Professor Oak. Can't say the same for the manual, though. Oh yeah, I named my rival sketchy. My mom tells me to look for Professor Oak, and when I go to check the grass, because naturally that is the first place anyone would look, he comes out of my house, so I guess he was hiding in the closet. Are you my dad? He takes me to his lab where Sketchy's waiting for the both of us and lets me choose a Pokemon. I chose Bulbasaur, because it's correct. Sketchy chose a fire type because of course he did, and then he wants to fight. Wouldn't be sketchy if he didn't want to compete in something I just picked up that day, so of course...
Okay, so, assuming that they're doing the bit, the rival is pre-designed to pick the opposite element of your Pokemon. Unless you are playing Yellow version, in which you get Pikachu, and they can randomly select whatever the fuck they want.
Or you're playing some of the later games where they don't necessarily pick the best Pokemon. The newer ones, she picks the one that's weakest.
Interesting.
Of course he beats me. Should've gotten Suspicious Potion first. Whatever, I got that and free one from the salesman. Dude, you're the worst salesman ever. Went to the mart and got deputized into a special delivery service. This place is very trusting. How do you know I'm not going to steal it? I took it back to Professor Oak, so I guess he really did know. He gives me a Pokedex and tells me to fill it. By myself, I am 10. And now I'm completely off the leash. Record time, actually. If there's one thing about Gen 1 that still holds up, it's the fact that it quickly lets you off the choke chain to let you play the game. Even the catching tutorial is optional. If you don't know how to catch Pokemon, you can ask this guy.
Do you know why the character is 10? Because this game was geared towards children. You want to know when I started playing this? I was somewhere between 8 and 10.
I think it was 6.
It was like 1997?
Oh, shut up. Even younger. I think I was like 3 or 4 when I got my copy.
Let me look. Let me verify this shit. $1998. So I was 6.
I would have been 5 at the youngest and maybe 5.5 at the latest when I got my copy of Yellow.
So she can shut the fuck up.
And he actually tells you can ask him the first time you pass him, but you can say no and carry on with your day. It's really that simple. And I was actually surprised coming back to Gen 1 just how simple it was. I mean, we all talk about how Pokemon should let people skip the catching tutorial, and this becomes a weird debate among some people, but it exists in the first Pokemon game. I find people
Well, you see, there's this thing called a tutorial so that people understand the game that they're playing. And if they skip the tutorial and they don't understand the game that they're playing, they might do something catastrophic like get something wrong and then insist that they were right when they're painfully wrong. You know, like you're about to be.
forget that this was something we figured out a long time ago. So I sang myself a page before moving on to Viridian Forest. In the forest, I was looking intently for a Caterpie for far longer than seemed usual, actually. I kept running into Wheel instead, so I looked it up, and it turned out that the encounter rate for some Pokemon is different based on the version, not just the exclusives. No, I don't care for that. Should've played Yellow version, Lil. I did eventually find a Metapod, though. I really want a Butterfree because I have a bone to pick with literally every single Poketuber on the planet. See, because my generation is kind of dumb, there's this idea that because Butterfree doesn't get stab moves, that makes it useless, that it's an early game Pokemon and you should soon replace. I disagree with that attitude, and I think that attitude is why Whitney and Cynthia made you all into whimpering piles of mulch and made you think you need to trick out a Weavile to even stand a chance. Also, Butterfree is
so remember when you said that stupid shit with, like, you don't need to be a competitive player in order to blah, blah, or you should be competitive in order to do this, blah, 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 blah. Why are you acting like a video game elitist when you barely understand the franchise that you're trying to talk shit about? I mean, it's all up to preference.
Yeah.
literally perfect. Look at her. She is baby. Moving on to the first gym, and you know what? I kind of admire it. Brock even says at the start that his whole gimmick is defense, and unless you open the Squirtle, it's not going to be a straight one-shot. But there's something clever here. See, Rock Sonics uses Bide, a move that relies on taking damage, and it can very easily fuck you over if you feed it. A lot of people find out that Bide is pretty useless because it gives the enemy an opening to set up status moves. But that's the beauty of it. That's what the game is trying to convince you to do. As early as the first gym, the game is teaching you that status moves are the way to go. And for a Pokemon that is as defensive as Onix and has as low attack as Onix, Bide is a really good move to have. Well, it's not doing competitive, Lily. Yeah, but competitive has always been an afterthought. And I'm not talking about post-game, I'm talking about game. That's why I'm doing it this way. Anyway, that aside was to cover the fact that all I really did was chip them down with Leech Seed. First, badge acquired. And Metapod is just a little bit from evolving, so I had to go take out another Weedle, which felt a little anticlimactic, honestly. But whatever, the important part is I have a Goral. who knows zero new moves. Oh, god damn it! Mount Moon is the second dungeon in the game, and the first point of no return. After you clear it, it's impossible to get back to Peter City until you unlock access to Diglett Cave and Vermilion. Mount Moon is your first introduction to Team Rocket, a group of Pokemon thieves that are plundering mountain for Clefairy and fossils. They're all over the dungeon, but in truth, you only have to fight maybe 3 or 4 to get through, as they are actively blocking your path. This is an interesting decision because it means you get to decide how much you want to care about Team Rocket. Are you going to go through the process of stopping every grunt for the XP, or just take the ones that actively get in your way? This sounds like a weird thing to praise, but later games don't let you show this level of indifference to their evil teams. Toward the end, I pick up the Helix also because I'm a cringy bitch who thinks internet memes are funny. Coming into Cerulean is where you find your first mandatory rival battle. You know, there's an awful lot of debate about the whole mean rival v friendly rival dichotomy, but if I can take a moment to have a hot take, I don't think Blue is a mean rival. I know a bunch of Pokemon fandom is on the internet and people on the internet think making friends is hard, but Blue and Red always seem to me like really close friends. Blue can come off like a smarmy asshole, but I mean, it's 10. His dialogue always comes off more like good-natured slagging, like the two are always competing with each other, but in a fun way. I mean, his moment is effectively him saying, last one complete podcast.
No.
And his catch.
No, bitch, they are not friends. He literally despises your existence. He purposefully picks the Pokemon that's strongest against yours so he can humiliate you from the jump. What do you mean?
Catchphrase "smell you later" is just "see you later" with a different sense. And when you're 10, you think that's the height of comedy. And he's right, that is the height of comedy. Look at his actual dialogue in the game itself. He slags you off quite a bit, but never too much that it becomes unreasonable. He's a sore loser, but he talks to the player and gives them information like a kid going, "Hey, guess what I found? You should go check it out." I have no problem believing these two are friends. In fact, this is the most believable rival friendship in the entire series because the two of you are in competition.
You know, he's not giving you that information because he's your friend. That's how you know where to go next.
He's delivering this thing called
exposition.
Yes,
and he's telling you where to go.
You see, it's the equivalent. It's this. This is also another number. Number 4. On Rivals.
Because
thinks
he's giving you this because this game is geared towards kids. You gotta tell them where to go because they generally aren't gonna figure that shit out on their own. Good God.
Lily thinks that the dialogue that tells you your next objective is just flavor text in Gen 1. Okay.
But it's clearly a friendly one. I honestly don't even know why the term rival even exists. Most people in real life don't have rivals, much like how most people don't have enemies.
No, there are people who have rivals. If you work in the same industry as somebody who might respect you, but still works against you, that is your rival. Because if it comes down to it, in a dog-eat-dog world, then it's going to be whoever's the better candidate, winner take all. 2 lawyers that could have been friends since birth and work in the same practice, and they have absolutely no rivals inside of their business, and they both work for the same company, and they work on the same business. If one of them gets offered partner and the other one doesn't, I can promise you they will become rivals. Because one gets to have their name on the building, and or have power in management and in levying that name in the conversation of whether or not a person could or should not use their business, and the other one just gets called an assistant paralegal. 2 competitors playing on the same team, but the person who gets paid most is because they're considered by the team owner to be the one with the best asset. One was brought in literally because of their performance and their talent and their stats for the league, and the other one is effectively a second stringer who's had to work and harvest and grind to first string and is always at threat of getting relegated and sent back to academy. That is a rival. And that's just assuming that you're talking about usual Pokemon competitive. If we're talking about first tier and first through third tier level esports, there are rivals all over the goddamn concept, and you have to have them by design. Do you know why, Lily? It's because rivalry breeds entertainment. SinglePlayerCarl versus... For the purpose of this dog, I'm going to use a version of you that actually likes playing MOBAs. SinglePlayerCarl versus Madam Hellfire. Both of them are on a climb on Challenger. Both of them are streaming their gameplay live. And then, after they get to the height of their peak climb, they pick 4 people out of the server to play 5-on-5 against, and it's for $5 and a Macy's gift card. In that timeline, I can promise you, that's going to be a fun 3 weeks worth of content. And it will be entertaining! Do you know why? Because as much as I respect her, if it comes down to a $5 and a $5 Macy's gift card, that's bragging rights. And if we're talking about bragging rights, and you think kids are antagonistic with bragging rights, you don't know kids. Were you ever a child?
I don't think so. The only thing she knows about kids is that she wants to touch them.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
I remember literally the day that my brother, because we went to the same school, the day my brother acquired Mewtwo and multiple candies to level him. I remember the day he was bragging to everybody on the playground. And everybody wanted to fight him. And then everybody wanted him for, I forget how much he charged. I think it was $20. $20 and like, something else traded through the item box. For them to give them a dupe of Mewtwo. Lord have mercy. There was no end to it. And then when everybody else had a Mewtwo, it then became who had the other legendaries. Who had a Moltres, who had an Articunos, who had a Zapdos. When Silver came, who's got Lugia, who's got Ho-Oh. I don't think Celebi was, no, maybe Celebi might have been capturable.
Only in the event. Only if you got the event for it.
Yeah. But I remember each and every one. And the reason was that was literally what children cared about. They cared about the playground rumors of, I heard that you can do this in the game. No, I heard that you can do this in the game. No, I heard you can do this. Did you come across this encounter? Did you do this encounter? I did that encounter. I did that encounter without taking hits. That is where the, quote, elitism that then became, well, it's not elitism, but let me cook. This is where the elitism of alleged chuds concerning things like Dark Souls and Dark Souls likes came from. Technically, this was brought back by Breath of the Wild, uniquely for the first time ever in the longest time. Because freeform gameplay means I can go wherever I want, and I'm not on rails. Thus, I'm not experiencing the exact same gameplay that everybody else is. For Dark Souls and Demon Souls, every single time somebody discovered a new thing, it was a new tactic that then got gamified. And then everybody was bragging about it and then using it and abusing it until it either got patched, nerfed, or removed from the game. And then doing it again. And then doing it again. The night, the long night of the Havel family. Of light-loaded, heavy, Havel-flipping, Havel moms, Havel dads, and Havel sons. With every single dark green shield, chugging on grass, smoking on that dank weed, swapping you off an edge, and more and beyond. That's where all that came from. It came from those players taking pride in the fact that they happen to have a level 99 cosplay for that one gym battle of Ash versus that one gym leader who loves their, I think, wasn't it Arctinos? It's the fire dog. The fire dog.
Blaine?
Yes. Like, every single one of them having every single kind of cosplay in those particular battles. It all came from there. And you not understanding that it's made for the kids to understand where to go to next. The same way that a person playing a JRPG needs to pay attention to the tooltip being given to them as they're talking to a character, but they probably didn't. So now they have featuring in games like Final Fantasy 16 the active story time notes taking system, so they can keep track of what the fuck's happening, because they might have pressed A two times too fast and didn't read the full text before they dismissed it. That's what that's there for. But okay. So says you. What else do you have, Lily?
So the cartoon rugged Gary is an actual bully and full of himself a rich kid, and I think people let that color their perception of Blue as a character. Then again, I have also noticed that people on the internet today are extremely touchy in regards to someone else simply seeming pompous. Internet dwellers treat arrogance like it's the single worst sin imaginable, and so I'm not surprised a lot of people took it weirdly personally when Blue's...
You're Lily Pete. You don't get to say that. I'm so sorry. Fuck you. You don't get to say that. So sorry. You don't get to say that.
Slags the player off. We often blame children for the decisions of game freak, like a rival's characterization or the hand-holding the game to play with. But the truth of the matter is that people my age have been complaining about these games being too hard for a long time. Like, it wasn't Gen Z that made Whitney and Cynthia into a meme, or complained about a non-issue like the H.
Here's the problem. What are you describing as difficulty? Are you describing difficulty being you didn't take the proper time to prepare? Are you taking difficulty to mean you did the minimum amount of preparation and then you still got your ass clapped? Because that's not a problem of the game. That's a problem of you. Get good.
Gems. I honestly think one of the reasons characters like Charon and Bianca are so popular isn't because they have compelling character arcs, but because they kiss the player's feet. And I think it's largely people my age who like that about them. They often say they don't, but I think that's just social desirability bias. Every gamer has a praise case, no matter how hard they try to convince you otherwise. Lily, stop bringing BDSM into Pokemon. It works as a metaphor, alright? I like Blue, and I like him specifically because he comes off like a more genuine friend than the sycophantic warbling of later rivals. Anyway, after helping Bill get out of his fursuit and getting a cruise ticket, we're finally able to see Misty. Actually, wait, was it genuine block off? I don't remember. Whatever, Misty, the water type trainers, Ivysaur's...
No. The ones that are really mean to you, that are really bad, are silver and blue. That's it. Everybody else is like peanuts. So what are you talking about?
Memes. I have to assume it has to be like intergenerational or contrarian level memes where they have a headcanon that they have about the character that they're not willing to let go. And considering that it's fucking Lily Orchard, it's more than likely a headcanon.
Well, yeah, she said he's the boyfriend.
Whipping good. See, I told you it works as a metaphor. Second badge acquired. Vermilion City has only two things to note: the gym and the SSN. Oh yeah, also Diggle's Cave. The SSN is required to get to the gym, and it's crawling with optional trainers. You can just go right to your rival in the cabin if you want, but I want that juicy XP, so I barged into every cabin and beat up everyone's pets like a completely reasonable person I am. I don't have a problem. Fuck you. Now that I've cut, I can open the gym where. Oh fuck, the trash puzzle. Nope. Oh hey. Okay, so I threw the trash puzzle and I caught a Diglett, which means I win. Your X speed can't save you now. Third badge acquired. Now that I have the third badge, I can go north to Saffron City and then west to Celadon. Actually, no, I can't because the guard is too thirsty to let me through. What I can actually do is go back to Cerulean City, take a roundabout route through this winding cliffside, go through a dangerous pitch black tunnel, cut through a haunted oubliette, go through another underground tunnel, and then into Celadon. Just a small detour. I'd almost forgotten just how dreary the mid game is. After you leave Rock Tunnel, your next task is to go through 2 back-to-back rocket areas. 3 if you decide to hammer out Silpho right away. You can skip the rocket hideout by using a Pokédoll and Marowak, but for the sake of this video, I didn't. And going through the track of Team Rocket's hideout, then Celadon Gym, and then Pokemon Tower is not great. It's too many dungeons and cities with very little overworld to break it up. And this is only compounded by the fact that the next area after this is the very long and very interesting area between Lavender Town and Fuchsia City. Gen 1's biggest problem is that it's often unevenly spaced, and a lot of the major areas are clustered in Celadon and Saffron. It's a similar issue I have with Goldenrod in Generation 2. Too much is crammed in here, and you end up spending way more time in this area
First game. They were working on it.
than you ever want to at any other point. I actually slammed out Celadon Gym first since Pidgeotto and Butterfree needed the easy XP, and since I was going to be in that basement for a while, going to the game corner, you beat up the garden down in the basement for a series of tile puzzles, which I don't wish to be melodramatic, are the worst fucking things in the game.
You realize that there are cities, right, Lily? There are villages, and then there are cities, like, I don't know, LA, or, I don't know, New York City, where they have a lot of buildings in one particular spot. It's also supposed to be an area where you're supposed to load up on items and stuff to involve your Pokemon. There's a purpose to it, dumbass. Fucking hell.
Not because the movement itself is bad, but because it's so painfully slow. Later games speed this up, but wow, this is cursed. I move through one floor, get the lift key, move through the second, get to the elevator, we meet Giovanni for the first time. Giovanni's thing is ground type Pokemon. Unlike the rest of his team, who uses Pokemon that are the easiest in the game to actually get. You know, it actually says something about Giovanni. Like, he went out of his way to import a Kangaskhan for himself, but just drags up whatever can be found on the cheap for all his grunts. Makes no difference because this capitalist rat's going down. After that, we're headed to Lavender Town, the only real point of interest in this part of the game, which stands out by how bleak and sad the whole place is, and how migraine-inducing the music is because some dick decided, hey, let's make this track really loud and harsh and see how much we can torture the Game Boy speaker. They tortured that poor little speaker until it was begging for more. I mean, mercy. And frankly, I don't think we needed to know what the effects of VR headsets would be if they were focused entirely on your ears, but some VA Game Freak would apparently disagree. Whoever wrote these tracks owes me some Tylenol. Lavender Town is practically infamous for how sharp of a tonal shift it is, inspiring about 20,000 crappy ghost stories written by kids. But honestly, I think
Blah 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 blah. That's not actual criticism. That's just you whining about an internet meme.
that's about the only real value Lavender Town has. Personally, I always found the reinforcing to be much creepier. But there's nothing as charming as reading some bad campfire story about the cartridge ejecting itself in the Game Boy at Mach 5 and lodging itself in your throat.
Yep.
The only value is the creepy factor. No, it's also to show you how absolutely abhorrent Team Rocket is, and that your Pokemon can actually die. It is a place of mourning. This is one of the things that I absolutely agreed with when I watched the review, What's-His-Face's review for this. It's a place of mourning. Your main boss, Marowak, was murdered defending her own kid, her own Cubone. Are you telling me that you have no concept of any of that? None.
It's just back.
Really?
It's just backflower filler. It's just fluff. It doesn't actually matter. That's going down. Number 5. Areas of empathetic and emotional resonance. That's not how you spell resonance. To the player is just meaningless fluff.
Fucking shaking my head, man. There's so much beauty in just this area, and yet you have no concept of it. My God.
Rogue can punish you for looking at ghosts. Yeah, there's my hot take of the day. Lavender Town is actually kind of shit, and its only entertainment value is kids staring at each other with rumors and creepypasta. Otherwise, it's just another too long dungeon that demonstrates how weak ghosts are psychic in this game. This part of the game
Too long. It's 4 fucking levels, and it ends with a straight up, like, straight shot to the top. It's just a bunch of, like, a row of battle, like 4 battles, and you're done with it. Like, what do you mean it takes too long?
There's an element of this that is comparable to the same opinions people say about Majora's Mask, or even versions of Legend of Zelda: The Link Through Time, Link Between Realms,
Past, yeah.
Ocarina of Time, and even Master Quest, where it's just tedium. It's just meaningless tedium that doesn't actually transform anything. And I would argue that it's actually not, because there's a roguelite version. I don't remember what it's called, but it's something that basically gives you a roguelite speed run of Pokemon that you can have the ability to Nuzlocke your way through, and you can have a random chance of being able to change. Somebody will probably tell me what it is there. I know that it's a fan-made game. It's, Shadows and Dust or something along those lines. The entire concept of the level design of a game is designed to create a puzzle, because all games are a puzzle that's created by somebody else for you to solve and thus beat. In the case of Pokemon, the entirety of a level's design gives way to what the puzzle's entire point is. When you say it's too much, it's too long, it's too much tedium, that's a lie, because it's probably one of the most simplistic designs at the time and in recent memory of that era to date. There are worse designs, there are worse maps, there are worse puzzles. Even the Team Rocket Fortress floor puzzle, the only thing, and this is a fair critique, which is probably why it was, fixed in any additional port or any additional remaster of it, is the floor's animation being slow. But this was a early generation Game Boy game. They're not going to be lightning fast. I'm so sorry. Same thing would have existed in the hand of Metroid, which is the same reason why they remade Metroid 1 and Metroid 2 into Zero Mission and Return to Samus. You're just angry about modern designs that you can compare it to because you lived long enough to have the privilege to look at how it's different to the thing you're comparing it to from the past. But the problem, and the point that I'm making, is the puzzle of Ocarina of Time versus a Master Quest dungeon is entirely different because it's to make you think. You've already experienced the puzzle before. If they just made a different version of the game with the same puzzles, in the same places, with the same items, in the same quantities, in the same locations, with the exact same solution, that's not challenging you enough. You're smart enough to know how to do it. So now, instead, let's make a cow a door switch. Oh, what's that mooing? I guess you better figure it out. Oh, you don't have a slingshot? Damn, you sped run and tried to skip the sling. Oh, that's why. I guess you're going to have to go back and find it. You make things that would have not been required. You create the opportunity for things like movement tech necessary as a part of completing the game. To the point where, in many ROMs, they teach you how to do them so that you can complete them. Depends on the engine you use. Some engines mostly use Majora's Mask System because it has a better adult Link jump. But Pokemon doing the exact same thing means, oh, let's take this puzzle that came from Gen 1, from this area, and let's combine it with knowledge that we've refined in generations 4, 5, and 6, and then let's reinterpret this puzzle, and then let's turn it around, and then let's flip it, and then let's interpolate it across a 3D map, and let's just stretch that into 4 floors. Now figure out the boss. $5 to anybody who can guess what I just described. There's like 4 different things in any games that I could have possibly been describing there. And all of them use a similar system because Nintendo invented the design of these kinds of things. Specifically for Pokemon. Some of the best puzzles that exist in Pokemon because they were made for kids! Okay. Alright. You know everything about game design. True.
But it's clear they want you to go in a particular order because the levels of individual Pokemon do not actually compensate for which way you're going. After Erica, Koga, and Sabrina have huge spikes in levels because the game assumes you're going to have gone through 3 entire dungeons before reaching them, and you'll have had to have gone through at least 2 of them to get to them anyway. You're not getting to Fuchsia City without Pokeflute, you're not going to Sabrina without Silph Co. Sure, you can do them in any order if you're determined enough, but you still have to do all of them, and there is a very strict recommended order right on the trainer card. After the
Well, you see, recommended doesn't mean I'm forced to. So, just off the list you just put here, anybody going through 1 and 3, because of it requiring 2, could then be able to go one place or another, but they could still double back and do whatever the fuck they want to, with whatever team they wanted to. That's one example.
Focus loop, you're not going to Sabrina without Silph Go. Sure, you can do them in any order if you're determined enough, but you still have to do all of them, and there is a very strict recommended order right on the trainer card. After the gauntlet that is Celadon and Lavender Town, you get to go through the best route in the game, Route 12. It takes you through a bridge over a coastline down into a fence path and then back onto the main road to Fuchsia City. It's the longest route in the game, packed to the brim with trainers, and there's no rest stop at any point. This is one of the few points in the game that feels like you're actually traveling. The route is so expansive, and it actually takes a while to get to Fuchsia City. It replicates the arduous journey of traveling between towns as best as the Game Boy can. I love this route so much. It really captures what I mean about how Pokemon's difficulty is based primarily on endurance. Seriously, the next time you play a Kanto game, go through this route and fight every trainer without going back to heal the center. It's an amazing experience. Arriving in Fuchsia City, Butterfree steamrolled through Koga's team with only one minor hiccup requiring a switch out from Pidgeotto. I'm quite happy about that. Butterfree's actually been carrying the entire team since I stopped off in Saffron for Psychic, and I'm feeling very vindicated by this. See, I was watching old PokeTuber videos because that's something I occasionally end up doing. And a common theme for Butterfree in Gen 1 is that she's good in the early game and not very good anywhere else. And like I said, I had a bone to pick about that, so I resolved to keep Butterfree on my party and sweep the game. And so Butterfree turning out to be my best Pokemon is very vindicating. I snagged the items I needed from the Safari Zone without much care because I actually don't like the Safari Zone all that much. It was interesting for the rare Pokemon you could find there, but I've already got my team in mind and have no need for anything in there. And not being able to battle them just makes the whole ordeal annoying. This was the area I was least looking forward to, so we're moving on to... Damn it, that's even worse. There's a problem in Saffron City in that most of the city is on lockdown until you clear out Team Rocket from Silph Go. And I'll be honest, I think Silph Go is the worst area in the entire series. It is a labyrinth-themed dungeon that you have to use these extremely awkward teleporters to zip from room to room until you find
What do you
and it's
mean?
an intense maze of locked doors, teleporters, and just the worst kind of rocket fights in the entire
What do
game.
you mean?
Oh,
It's the most intricate and most fun part of the game. What are you talking about?
Oh look! It was that area I was talking about! And she hates it! Ah!
There's not enough content, but when the content is there, it's too much and it's too boring.
Oh my
What
god!
is it?
Oh, when you're hot, you're cold! Oh my god, it's yes and it's no! Sweet!
It's in, it's out, it's up, and it's down.
Sweet Jesus, I hoped with my heart of hearts that you were gonna say this was an inventive place that made you have to think about how to... No! You're just mad that there's mechanics and you can't press forward to continue. Fuck you! Oh my god, you're so boring! Oh, what a boring opinion!
Car. You're black and I'm white.
According to the United States government and my registration bill, I'm Indian!
That is so weird.
I don't know!
Series, and I am including Gen 2's radio tower in that. Oh my fucking god. If you know exactly where to go or cheat it and look at the map like I did because fuck this dungeon, it's not long, but if you don't...
So you can't even do the job? You can't even... Oh man, that's... Man, imagine not being able to enjoy the games that you want to talk shit about while you're playing them. Man, that's crazy.
I'll be right
Like
back.
most people don't.
Okay.
Oh my god, this is arduous. You're lost in this maze, having your resources chipped away on more and more fights, and there's a fight with Sketchy right before Giovanni. This dungeon and Pokemon Tower both have places to heal mid-dungeon. No other area in the game has that. I think that's the point you can say the dungeon is too big. And I'd be fine with how big it was if it...
That's not the dungeon being too big. Because if the dungeon was too big, and they didn't have an option to allow you to do that, then it would be too big. But that's not the problem. They gave you places to rest. They knew exactly how much and how long and what you'd need to do in order to manage it. Meaning, it was thought out, it was planned, and there was an expectation of the level of endurance you'd have to manage to get there. Through that zone, full of all those items in all those cities that you said were meaningless treks. Garbage opinion. Garbage opinion.
This dungeon and Pokemon Tower both have places to heal mid-dungeon. No other area in the game has that. I think that's the point you can say the dungeon is too big. And I'd be fine with how big it was if it wasn't so dull. If there was a clear forward progression. But this can be the shortest place in the game if you know which teleporter actually gets you where you want to go. It's this one. See,
Clear forward progression. Puzzle game. Clear forward progression. In a puzzle game. Clear forward progression in a puzzle game. In a puzzle room. Designed for puzzles, intended to be puzzling, but they want clear forward progression. That's going in the list. Does not appreciate puzzle design. Mauls about lack of content, then complains about no easy lack of investment solutions. As simple as pressing forward.
I actually quite liked Rock Tunnel. No one trainer battle is going to really challenge you outside of boss fights, but instead you're draining PP, losing health, running out of healing items, and there's no restoration or march until you reach the next town. Rock Tunnel actually has a Pokemon Center right outside because it is a gauntlet, something Gen 2 did as well with Union Cave. And as you get through, there's more and more trainers in your way dwindling your resources. But because Rock Tunnel is mostly linear, you're always making forward progress. And while losing can restore your health and PP, it costs half your money to do it. This, incidentally, is why you can't buy PP restoring items. It's why PP exists at all. This game is very unforgiving to your PP. Lily, knock it off. This is actually a PP. It costs half your money. More trainers in your way dwindling. Rock Tunnel actually has a Pokemon Center right outside because it is a gauntlet, something Gen 2 did as well with Union Cave. And as you items, and there's no restoration or march until you reach the next town. Rock Tunnel actually has a Pokemon Center right outside.
You see how those are 3 bushes that are stacked up in such a way next to an uncuttable bush that has the Pokemon Center door exactly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tiles away from the opening? The entire purpose is that you need to learn how to manage the use of your power points so that you can do that, which requires having a large, full stable team and not just one Pokemon that does everything. The same thing applies to the tower. The same thing applies to any endurance gauntlet. This is on you for not planning accordingly and knowing how much and how far you can take your Pokemon, which of course belies this little itty bitty thing that you don't like doing, which apparently seems to be trial and error. Because, don't think I didn't notice when you said it, you cheated. You looked at maps and you cheated to get through the game in order for you to experience the nostalgia of the game. So, the main reason why you were not having fun, more than likely, was because you tried to simplify the gameplay and took away the whimsy and the wonder and the enjoyment. And then you got mad about it.
Because it is a gauntlet, something Gen 2 did as well with Union Cave. And as you get through, there's more and more trainers in your way dwindling your resources. But because Rock Tunnel is mostly linear, you're always making forward progress. And while losing can restore your health and PP, it costs half your money to do it. This, incidentally, is why you can't buy PP restoring items. It's why PP exists at all. This game is very unforgiving to your PP. Lily, knock it off. This is actually a really good approach to gameplay. Most trainers don't have more than 1 or 2 Pokemon, but you're not just up against one trainer, you're up against all of this. But Silph has more trainers than Rock Tunnel. It's got a layout designed to confuse you, and it's right in the middle of a city, so nothing is stopping you from taking the elevators to the lobby and going to the Pokemon Center and healing up. It's just the worst dungeon in the entire game. I fucking despise it.
Worst dungeon in the game, designed to help you complete it by being located in a place where it has an easy ability to be designed. If they removed the Pokemon Center, you would then complain harder, saying it's so poorly designed. There's not even a Pokemon Center for you to recover your PP at. How the fuck? They're just molesting my PP.
People complain about Rock Tunnel because you need to use Flash or wander around blindly, and we'll get into HMs in a little bit because I actually like them, but it's actually very well designed, a very meaty challenge for where it is in the game, and very satisfying to get through, especially since it's a transitory period of the second act of the game. There's no cheating through
Carl,
it.
notice she likes the most straightforward, easiest fucking area.
I noticed.
Go through it in this one direction, which means this one direction is very interesting. Oh, fuck, that was another H1 quote, wasn't it? Silph is just obtuse for the sake of obtuse, and can be effectively skipped
Obtuse for the sake of obtuse.
over if you're crafty enough. So it's either unbearably grueling or terminally short and easy with no middle ground. And the gym afterward also features a double pad puzzle that, again, you either try every pad and get lucky, or know exactly where to go. It's no surprise they didn't do this kind of gym puzzle a second time. Now this is the part where I'm supposed to talk about how powerful the psychic type is and how broken and overwhelming it is. Everyone talks about it and how obscenely powerful the psychic types are. Here's the thing though, that's only true in theory. Psychic power comes from a large variety of stab moves, and its 2 weaknesses either not being coded properly or possessing no moves of decent power. Sure, but one thing we're going to run into later is that the Pokemon community operates as if stab super effective moves are the only things that exist. You remember how I mentioned I had a bone to pick with PokeTubers? Well, here it is. This is why Butterfree is often derided as a low tier Pokemon, because she doesn't learn stab moves. But the thing is, other strategies exist. Butterfree might not have stab moves, but she has an...
That's not. You're wrong. Anybody that makes content off of this, go off of tactics. Usually because stab moves aren't the only thing that are going to get you to actually beat a game Nuzlocke. Because Nuzlocking means that if your Pokemon dies, it's gone. If you black out, you're done. You start over again. You can't go off of just, oh, stab moves are king. No, there are setup moves. There are status moves. There are other moves that do different things that will help you more than just, press the hit button. That works for you on a first playthrough, a normal playthrough. It doesn't work for you when you do something else. Sorry, not sorry, no, you're wrong.
It's called having a crutch. And very clearly, she has a crutch. She clearly has a crutch. Yeah, she would definitely do well at IGM.
Array of status moves. Sleep is godlike in this game, and she's one of the earliest sleepers. And you don't need stab to do some pretty meaty damage either way. Neutral attacks are still a thing. Status moves are still a thing. Alakazam might have high special, but his physical defense is in the toilet. And a decent physical move, even if it isn't super effective, is going to body the fucker. These Pokemon are overpowered if you're someone who thinks having no weaknesses means you can't be killed, but that's never been the case. We all beat Sabrina as kids after all, and chances are you beat the kid who had Mewtwo. In fact, despite how supposedly powerful psychic types are, Sabrina has never been memed on as heavily as Whitney or Cynthia have been in the past. And shit, Cynthia's Garchomp has a 4x weakness and is still considered brutally difficult, even though she has a Pokemon with no weaknesses. The truth of the matter is that Alakazam just doesn't have the moves available to him to really take out his real weaknesses, physical attackers. To be as broken as people claim Alakazam is, he would need a much wider variety of moves, and he's just never really had that. But Gen 1 psychic types just weren't that broken. broken to begin with. Just use slash, like ever. Technically the next area is Seafoam Islands, but let's be honest, when was the last time you actually went through Seafoam Islands? Yeah, I thought so. I certainly didn't. I surfed south from Palatown, you fucking scrub. Of all the gyms, I think Blaine is my favorite. Fire type Pokemon are rare and damn near every Pokemon game, so fire type gym is always a welcome challenge. But it's trivia questions for something I always thought was very cute. It's better than maneuvering around gym trainers like someone who's just dropped a really eggy fart and is trying not to be noticed about it. Oh, right.
This is a lot of fucking reason for somebody who's playing at a scrub level.
First, you have to go through the Pokemon Mansion. You know, I forget about this dungeon every single time I play this game, and then I just spam repels and try to battle anyone. I feel Pokemon Mansion should be the coolest dungeon, but it's in a city and so suffers from similar issues that Silco does. The access to a Pokemon Center nearby renders the things that make the dungeons interesting completely moot. 7th badge acquired. Swing back to Viridian, give Giovanni a midlife crisis, and head out to the Pokemon. Actually, hang on. I actually really like Giovanni. He's a much more real villain than any other evil team. He just wants to exploit Pokemon for financial gain. He could just as easily be the Mafia or Amazon. But what I really like is that after the 3rd time you beat him, he just goes, I had my entire empire toppled by a small child. What the fuck is wrong with me? What am I doing with my life? I am a failure of the highest order. And he just quits and goes into hiding and hangs out in a cave for the rest of his life. You humiliated this guy so badly.
Until he creates Rainbow Rocket.
Yeah, midlife crisis. And in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, you could beat him again and make him even more depressed. He's actually kind of pathetic. I love torturing the elderly. Anyway, after that, and a quite invigorating run through Victory Road, my points about Rock Tunnel still stand here. I make it to the Elite Four. Lorelei was probably the most difficult of the bunch simply because ice types are the major blind spot in my knowledge. I know they're weak to fire, but I don't know anything else about how they work. Butterfree swept both Bruno and Agatha. I'll be honest, I didn't think she could do it. 2 of them were rock type, and I thought it would at least be a struggle, but it was a massacre. I love this little bug. And then Lance was swept by Starmie. Yeah, the Elite Four wasn't really enough to write home, honestly. It's one of those challenges that was really cool as a kid for the spectacle, but as a gameplay challenge, it hasn't held up. But that's fine. It's an old game, and frankly, I think the first 4 gens are a good place difficulty-wise. They're just hard enough to keep your brain engaged, and as a kid, some of these challenges can seem insurmountable, but they really push you to figure out simple problems in your head, which is something kids need to be constantly exercising. It's good for them. Moving on to Sketchy, it was a mostly okay fight. Again, the spectacle is what made it matter, but his Alakazam did get off a cheeky little reflect before I knocked him out, buffing his team against physical attacks, which was uncalled for. In fact, he did knock out more of my Pokemon than I was prepared for. His Executor in particular was a stubborn little bitch. I really wanted to take out his last Pokemon with Butterfree, but alas, it was not meant to be. But Starmie pulled through for me, it was all good. We're all good. And that's Gen 1. All in all, I think it still holds up. Any ranking of the generations, and I am gonna rank them at the end, really ought to have Gen 1 place smack dab in the middle. All the usual obligatory praises about being the trendsetter are one thing, but the real thing that keeps me coming back to it is freedom. Generation 1's in this weird position with Gen 2 because they're both very freeform games. Starting from Gen 3, but really picking up speed in Gen 4. Pokemon became more linear, more JRPG. Game Freak started to get very pushy. They wanted to start telling you how to play instead of letting you play on your own. The games were
Because the entire purpose was getting in a new player base. A new player base means they don't know and probably won't care and probably will abandon if the path forward is not obvious. So they held their hand, Lily. They held their hand. In the same way that I and many other Path of Exile players would hold the hands of new incomers and tell them, listen, simplify this as much as you can for yourself, because shit's going to get wicked really fast, and you don't want to be overwhelmed with too much, and it's already going to throw a lot at you to begin with. You cannot get mad at them for that, because that is them making a game for a modern audience. So, the same way that you can then be angry at puzzle design and then complain about having no simple solutions that are lack of investment for your entertainment value, you cannot then complain saying it got more JRPG. No, actually, they got more Americanized. Because JRPGs don't hold your hand. They give you the base level minimum that you need to understand, and then everything else is freeform for you to figure out. If I put somebody inside of Final Fantasy, and I put somebody inside of Star Ocean, or Phantasy Star, I can almost promise you they're going to tend towards Final Fantasy more than those two. Because both of them, with their complex systems, assuming that we're talking about Final Fantasy, we're talking about normal Final Fantasy. So, I'd be willing to even include Final Fantasy 15 into this, because 16 is an entirely different beast in its own continuity. And we also can't play it yet because it's not on the fucking Steam store yet. Final Fantasy 1 through 15, which also includes their spin-offs, so even Lightning Returns gets to have a chance to have an argument, has a higher chance of being more likely to be played to completion and then played infinitum than that of any other JRPG. Simply because, as simple as press X to do next move in turn system, some systems are active combat. Some you have to actually pay attention to while you're fighting inside of them. And you have to manage your skills, then you have to manage your expectations, and you have to plan, and all the other shit that it comes with. But, you know, fuck the kids, I guess! Elitists like you need to have their own games. I'm so sorry.
Were more railroaded, more insistent on directing you. Mechanics would be removed for seemingly no reason. Some people playing this started in Gen 6, but it really picked up steam in the DS games. Generation 1 doesn't have this problem. Because the cartridge wouldn't hold enough data, there's no story getting in your way, no pushy attitudes from the devs getting in your way, and just no annoyances. The annoyances in this game mostly just come from roadblocks. I've forgotten just how padded the mid-game truly is. Something I never hear anyone talk about because everyone just focuses on the features, which is what I find is the problem. This is why I wanted to do it this way. I want to focus on the gameplay and not the toys. But even with that hurdle to get over, I still prefer the adventure and the openness. To me, the ideal Pokemon adventure is Ash's adventure, where you're going on your own personal journey. Maybe you run into a new conflict in a given city, but at the end of the day, it's still your journey to make of it what you will, and that will continue.
Is it Ash's journey if it's not actually Ash that you're playing, but a version of Red? Ash Ketchum and Red are not the same person. You fucking scrub.
To have value so long as Game Freak continues to try to make Pokemon into Final Fantasy. So moving on to Generation 2, this was a big deal. Game Freak managed to take a game that was already big by Game Boy standards and make it even bigger. More Pokemon, an entirely second region, an update on what happened since you've last been there. How did Game Freak manage to pull off something so spectacular? Well, I'll tell you how. They got someone else to do it. President of HAL Laboratories Satoru Iwata came in and fixed their Frankenstein's monster of code. Code that was so bad Nintendo's entire team of programmers couldn't decipher it, let alone fix it. But thankfully, someone competent was in the office, and so we got to experience the best pair of Game Boy games ever exist. Or are they? Let's dive right in. Right from the start, the Force tutorials are slowly creeping their ways in, because when you tell your mother you already know what the Pokegear is, she just explains it to you anyway, but in a way that suggests she's asking you to show her how to use it. She's sneaky, that mother of mine. Anyway, I chose Chikorita, because it's correct. Both the Pokemon do really well in these early games, and Chikorita gets early access to Reflect and Synthesis, two very potent moves. Reflect especially because 3 out of 5 grass weaknesses are physical, and so Reflect neutralizes their damage. Couple that with Meganium's naturally high defensive stats, and you have a good all-rounder Pokemon. The introduction for Generation 2 is a lot longer than Generation 1 was. Not only do you have to walk farther, but there's just more dialogue overall. We talk about Pokemon games becoming handholdy as if it was some major shift, but as you're going to see, each game slowly becomes more and more directed and structured. After all that, I fight my rival, go back to name him. Now, I think Silver is one of the less interesting rivals. He's just an edgy, sore loser who slags off everyone around him and talks about how great and strong and special he is, all the while getting bodied every time you see him. He reminds me too much of Hop, just with a worse attitude. He's a loser and an edgelord. Actually, since I'm here, when you first beat your rival, he says, "My name's question mark, question mark, question mark." And I want to know, when you first played this game, did you name him question mark, question mark, question mark? I mean, technically that's his name. It's a weird fucking name, but it is his name. In the remakes, they changed that to you seeing his trainer card and not specifying his name, but here, your parents never even gave you a chance, did they? No matter, I'll correct that mistake. I'll give him a name that suits the pathetic loser he truly is. So I named him Kyle Ron. On round 29, I snagged a Caterpie, which would also become a front runner on my team like the last time. And in fact, I set the challenge for myself that I was going to beat Whitney with only a Butterfree. I also snagged a Geodude because I feel like having a rocky girl on my team. I never used Geodude before, this might be fun. The first thing I did in Violet City was head right to Sprout Tower. It's the first major dungeon, and it's actually a pretty good one. Like with Rock Tunnel, it's a fixed linear path to your destination with plenty of trainers and wild Pokemon, so it's an endurance test rather than a puzzle dungeon. But like the Rocket Hideout in Silph Co, it's located in a city, which means you can always double back to the Pokemon Center. This is something they keep doing, I wish they would stop. Actually, compared to Sprout Tower, Violet's gym is kind of a pushover. I mean, most of my Pokemon were injured and fainted, but I didn't lose. Chikorita and Metapod handled most of them until Geodude came out to finish off Pidgeotto. First badge acquired, and Metapod evolved. And now I have a Murder Bug, who I will feed the souls of my victims. Heading out to Union Cave, Butterfree's bloodlust proved unquenchable. She slaughtered every last Pokemon trainer who got in my way. Geodude, on the other hand, she wasn't having as good of a time, but I needed to level her up because the next gym was a bug gym, and bugs don't like rocks. I would know, I tested this theory very thoroughly as a child. This is where the railroading gets a little ridiculous. The process for Azalea Town is talk to Kurt, clear out the well, beat the gym, do the Farfetch quest, and then move on. And they really want you to do it in that order. They not only put a rocket grunt blocking the way to the gym, but also the well until you talk to Kurt, who knocks him in and falls in himself. But Kurt's broken his hip and therefore can't help. It's almost like diving headfirst into a well isn't a smart decision, but that's just my opinion. And so I had to clear it out instead. The rocket grunts use mostly poison types, so Butterfree and Geodude got this. The rocket fights in Gen 2 are actually the least interesting part of the game. There's one stretch later that goes on for far too long where it's nothing but rocket fights over and over again, but this part right here is just a taste of how dreary it is. Team Rocket was interesting when it had Giovanni, but seeing them sort of beaten down and looking for their leader is just odd. Team Rocket was a criminal organization. They were exploiting Pokemon for money. If the group fell apart, just join another one. Why are you sticking around looking for Giovanni like he's your dad? See, part of what made Team Rocket fun was that they were a very real villain, but also so pathetic they could be undone by a small child. At the end of the game, Giovanni just breaks down and quits because he knows he'll never recover from the humiliation of being beaten by a little girl 3 times with a frog and a butterfly. Ooh, I have all these cool masculine Pokemon and chirp chirp motherfucker. But here they just want Crime Daddy back, and I almost feel bad about kicking them when they're down. Bugsy on the other hand can fuck right off. Okay, so both Azalea Town and Goldenrod City have leaders whose main gimmick is using attacks that get progressively stronger after consecutive hits. Now, this kind of fight is basically screaming use sleeper accuracy moves because there's no tanking 5 hits from Fury Cutter or Rollout. And it took me just a little longer than I'd like to admit that Scyther was a flying type, and so Mud Slap wasn't actually going to work. But then I remembered that means he's 4 times weak to Rock Throw, and I almost realized that just a little bit too late. So between the 2 bad Mud Slaps and the missed Rock Throw, he got up to 4 stacks of Fury Cutter. If I hadn't hit that last one, he would have one-shot everyone on my team. This has been a certified Lily Orchard bimbo moment because I'm 30 and somehow Game for Children is getting one over on me. Second badge acquired. Anyway, then you have your.
But you were so smart. How would the game get one over on you, Lily? How'd that happen? Did you have a Giovanni moment? You had a Giovanni moment. I mean, me personally, technically you can't see it because the screen's in the way like this. But the Totodile hanging off of my wall clearly says that Totodile is the way. We stand for alligator in this house. But I'm okay with Typhlosion too. Cyndaquil is cute.
Your first real fight with your rival, and I crushed him with Butterfree, whose bloodlust was sated for now. And I take back what I said before. Kyle Ron isn't one of the less interesting rivals. He's the worst fucking rival in the entire damn series. I fucking hate this kid. See, in Gen 1, you and your boyfriend have a good dynamic. You playfully slag each other off, but there's affection and competitive spirit there. Gen 2's rival just shows up, rants about his strongman rhetoric, loses to you, and then overcompensates. And he never gets any better unless you go way too far out of your way to find the special events with him, which I never did because I don't care about his redemption arc. He's just this obnoxious burden every time he shows up, and I resent the rest of the fanbase for fixating on him and acting like he was the best rival just because he was broody and emo. That's the only reason you like this guy, because he was emo, and that's what you think good writing is. Silver and Hop are fundamentally the same character, it's just that one of them is superficially emo and the other isn't. Fuck Silver. Okay.
There's so much cope here. There's so much projection and cope here. Oh my god. I mean, outside the fact that you literally just said, I skipped content, I bet not hear not a damn thing about Silver again. Because if you skipped his content, and then you complained about his personality type without seeing his additional content, no. Hell no. No. I'm writing that down too.
So Goldenrod City is packed with gills with things to do. It's almost insane. There are a mountain of daily events here, tons of nooks and crannies all over the place. I think there's more stuff in Goldenrod than any other city in any other game. Unfortunately, I'm not going to do any of it because 16 years of being tortured and tormented by World of Warcraft has meant that your daily quest can fuck right off. This is where we brush up against the core philosophy of Gen 2. See, a common complaint about Gen 2 is the level curve. While Pokemon and trainers remain at a low level, but there isn't enough XP to keep an entire team even as a result. But the truth of the matter is that there is enough XP. It's just that it's not immediately apparent. You know all those trainers asking for your phone number to rematch and how the game is laid out in such a way that it's easier to backtrack to certain areas? Yeah, there it is. All those areas you missed and didn't come back to later, there it is. See, these games weren't designed to be played by a progression-minded player who's just trying to record full city internet video. They were designed for a handheld system that you could take anywhere, being used by children who had entire lunch hours, afternoons, and weekends to fuck around and find out. When you were a kid, you didn't have this problem because
you're a grown adult. You can do what you want. That's your problem.
went back to check out the rest of Union Cave once you got Surf, or explored Mount Moore, or explored the ruins of Val, or looked around at all those extra areas hidden away wondering what could be down there. As an adult, you already know the progression path and you follow it religiously. And the thing about Japanese open world games is that they don't really lose sleep over whether or not players miss anything. So there's plenty of extra paths to find, and the game isn't really all that bothered if you don't. Most of the caves, especially Mount Moore and Dark Cave, are completely optional. You know, sometimes I wonder if there's a correlation between this, my generation complaining that the XP curve is fucked, and modern Pokemon games leading you by the throat through every single possible site and being terrified you might miss something. Where was I? Oh right, so I smashed through Whitney with Butterfree, and Butterfree's thirst for the blood of the living has been sated. For now. Third badge acquired. But wait, I thought Whitney was super hard and Butterfree has a 4x weakness to fucking sleep powder and flash, guys. This isn't rocket science. In Critique City, you can't actually go to the gym without doing the side quest first. You know, just like Azalea Town. Like, fucking half the gyms in this game have some side quest you have to do before you get the badge. Good lord. The side quest this time is to go through the burn tower where I found Kyle Ron, who was looking for a legendary Pokemon, decides to take it out on you when he can't find one. Dude, come on, take a chill pill. Anyway, of course you crush him because he's a wuss and then you fall down a pit. Worse even, he mocks you for it, but the Pokemon he was looking for was right down here. Kyle, quit being a little bitch, your dogs are down here. Anyway, now that the dogs are gone, the gym leader will finally go back to his post and do his fucking job like he was supposed to. Great concept, huh? Anyway, open battle with Togepi, that was a false start. I switched to Butterfree and mowed through his first few Pokemon because some world-class intellected game freak decided to make most of the ghost types weak to psychic, and most of them have the move that cuts their health in half at the start anyway. Good job, Morty. It's even better because you don't take damage from Curse on the turn you knock the opponent out, so I got 2 free nukes on them without taking a scratch. And Curse is a volatile status effect, which means it's removed if you switch out. It sure would suck if I switched out into a normal type who was immune to Shadow Ball, wouldn't it? Fucking ghost types, I swear. Gengar's main strategy is to use Hypnosis and then Dream Eater. He will always use Dream Eater if the opponent is asleep, meaning you can switch out to a Pokemon that isn't to make it fail. And with Hypnosis having a less than perfect accuracy, you can effectively dance into a miss as much as you like. This actually makes Gengar something of a pushover. An even better approach is to use a normal type that's paralyzed, meaning they can't be put to sleep and can't be damaged by any other move, making Gengar a sitting duck. That's what I love about Gen 2. You just bend the game over your knee and beat it until it cries. 4th badge acquired. That means all of mine we have.
What's that? You use strategy? You're not complaining about the fact that you're allowed to use strategy and not saying that it's a lack of empty content? But you did that before.
Oh,
so,
are you talking about my favorite generation now?
Yes. Oh, also, the reason why Lily Orchard has their opinion about Silver is because they skipped all of Silver's story arcs.
Yeah, that you're gonna see she does that a lot. A lot.
Another fucking side quest. Jasmine's up the lighthouse taking care of a sick Ampharos, and I need to go across the ocean to get the medicine because apparently Olivine City doesn't have a single runner or ferry going to an island-locked town just 10 minutes across the sea, despite the fact that it's Johto's main harbor with a ship going to fucking Kanto. Fine, whatever. Sail across the ocean, pick up your damn medicine. Hey, I might as well get the badge while I'm... stupid me. You need strength in this gym. I didn't get it. This is what I mean. The HMs are all just lying in random places and cities, except for Waterfall, which you just find randomly in Ice Path. They really wanted you to explore. You get to a new town and they're like, crawl over every single building.
Me personally, I wouldn't say it's open world because an open world implies you can go everywhere in the world, and you literally cannot do that in most Pokemon games based on how it's designed. But open world game that features and encourages exploration, but there are side paths, and the game doesn't really care if you miss things or not. Oh no, I missed an important HM on my fucking recording video, thus nullifying my argument. Oh no, I own myself.
And also, I have to say that this one, Generation 2 is the only one where you have a spot where you can just choose what gym leader you go to. Or like 3 of them. None of the other games do that, besides the latest generation.
And you know what? I didn't. And now I have to do the fucking walk of shame all the way back to Olivine. Whatever, I got it. Now we're back properly this time. Most of Chuck Pokemon are fighting type, which means Butterfree gets to sweep again. Oh, that's not good. It's alright. Togepi's got it, and Primeape is down. I sent out Bayleaf against Poliwrath, but I kept getting stuck in a loop of sleep, Mind Reader, and sleep again. Wake up, you damn plant dog! Switching out wasn't good either because Poliwrath was faster and would just keep doing the loop of Mind Reader and Hypnosis. In better games, you can loop AI to your advantage. Here, it just fucks you over, and he keeps using Hypnosis. Whatever, I decided to take the coward's way out, and that was to keep healing until he ran out of power points. By some miracle, bringing out Bayleaf again got him to miss twice with Hypnosis. Nice. But then he hit me with the third one. Aw. But eventually I won the stalling war because Bayleaf is bulky as shit, and definitely not because I am booked up to an IV full of potions. 5th badge acquired. So I got the medicine, and Amphi convinced Jasmine to do her job, and so we're right back into another gym battle.
It also baffles me that she literally thinks the worst, objectively, the worst Pokemon as a starter. Like, literally the worst starter you could ever pick in any generation. And that is not even arguable. Is the best one for this generation. No, you dumb cunt. It's Feraligatr. Every time. Reason being because he can use all the HMs. He's better against most of the gyms in comparison to Meganium, who can't do jack shit.
Totodile gang! Totodile gang.
It's blatant favoritism.
I mean, besides the desire to constantly make Butterfree a part of their fucking outline to demonstrate a vendetta against content creators who don't even know who the fuck you... Well, no, maybe they actually do know who they are, but not because of their Pokemon takes.
It gets worse. From Gen 3 on, it gets worse.
Part of it. You see, once you finish Ecruteak City, you have the choice of where to go next. You can do the Olivine, Cianwood, and Mahogany Town storylines and their respective gyms in any order you want. But you have to do all of them. Because you can do them in any order, they're all relatively the same power-wise. This is that infamous level curve people talk about. Because once you reach this point, progression just sort of stops. Wild Pokemon remain around level 15, trainers have around level 20, and the gym leaders have Pokemon in their 30s for 3 gyms until you have 7 badges. Outside of Red, very few battles in this game feature Pokemon higher than level 50. As I mentioned earlier, most of the XP is found in the daily and weekly events and the trainer rematches, but the entire system is extremely inelegant, and it means you have to wait until the next day to actually do anything. This means you don't have to do much grinding for a full team, but it also means that if you're not doing those daily events, you're going to fall behind very quickly because wild Pokemon just flat out aren't very high level. And if you're only using your starter for everything, you're going to be criminally over level. With all 3 gyms all having the same level range, that gulf is only going to get bigger and bigger. You're either overpowered, stuck grinding, or stuck waiting. All of this is only compounded by the availability of Pokemon. More than half the Johto
The only thing that I think that she doesn't get wrong is that yes, the level system for 2 was absolutely jank.
This is the only place where I would say that it's a legitimate argument where you could say this is a lack of content, because it's based on a day and night system that you can't necessarily alter and get around with the same way that you can with time traveling in any game that's based on a hard-coded time system set to your system's game clock. It's a fair opinion. The problem is that the way that she chooses to play the game makes the game worse in this regard.
Yep.
Because of their philosophy of how they want to treat exploration. You want straightforward answers in an exploration game. Then you complain when you get them. Then you get mad that there's no true, real, diverse content. You skip the content that would give you the opportunity to find that enjoyment. And because of the system itself not being designed well, it gives you a false sense of superiority when your opinion, it would be wrong. But the reason it's not wrong here is for the same reason it's wrong with the last generation, and will probably be wrong in the next generations as well. Not to mention your fucking wrong opinion about your starters.
The post-game, either being locked to Kanto, items you get from Kanto, or areas you can't access until you...
Also, I'm pretty sure the reason why they chose the grass starter was because it's a girl.
Yeah. Well, it's a boy or girl. It's not like gender locked.
Yeah, it's the most girlish one.
It's girly.
I know Tom, my hero, recently put out a video defending this decision as it made some Pokemon random viral through the community, but here's the problem with that. Johto's actually good Pokemon not being available until well into the post-game turns them into trophies rather than actual Pokemon. Once you get them...
And? Oh man, I didn't get to sweep the entire fucking Elite Four with a fucking legendary. Oh my god! I was cheated! Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth.
Ms. Revis, there's nothing left to do. Once you get a Houndour, you're 95% of the way through the postgame with only red in your way. Same with Larvitar. So many actually good Pokemon stuck in a part of the game where once you get them, there is nothing left to actually do with them other than erase them by starting a new game. This might sound fine for trophy hunters out there, but if you're someone for whom, say, Houndoom is your favorite Pokemon, this is actually garbage design. Sure, it might make Houndoom more special and exclusive.
Houndoom is my favorite Pokemon. Shut the fuck up, you cunt.
And value can
you leave my boy alone.
This is why only pathetic...
Deleted opinion from Reddit of all places. Yeah, I don't see how people can enjoy obtaining hacked shinies. If you have the power to give yourself what you want, it's not even special. How is the opinion wrong?
It's not. I feel infinitely more accomplished when I find one on my own. The only time I have to get one, they're not hacked, but I do have to go buy them off of like eBay, off of people that are reputable that don't get hacked ones. Because some of them you just can't get anymore, like fucking Furfrou from Gen 6. You can't get it anymore shiny unless you go in Pokemon Go, and that's fucking hard to do. And even then, you can't get the forms unless you have coin. Sometimes you have to buy them.
It's like explaining to somebody how much effort can be put into a build in Path of Exile, and then a person says, well, you could just go do this and do this and do this, and that's not what I want it for. If I could get the fuck what I wanted to make my builds perfect, then they wouldn't be perfect, and there would be no escalation. There would be no progress. The progress is the important part. You can't do that. You cannot make fun of people saying this about it with the opinion you just said about these things, trophies at the end of the game. Yeah! The passionate player's going to do it then. It means you don't like that generation for this part. Maybe this could be your favorite generation.
It's mine. It is my favorite generation. But then again, I think that Heart Gold and Soul Silver are way better. But yes, it is my favorite generation.
I don't
it has legit Pokemon.
I don't understand why She's so confident in blazingly wrong opinion. Because this isn't just favoritistic or elitist opinions. These are basic game design philosophies that are just being dismissed by someone who doesn't understand game design.
Nope. They're being dismissed by an absolute troglodyte.
Pathetic sacks of shit think shiny Pokemon have any actual...
I think YouTube thinks that word's a slur now. I don't think it recognizes it at one, but man, Troglodyte's a classic. Oh man, Troglodyte's a classic. Trog is a perfect shorthand too.
Value. That's such a pain in the ass to get that most people just won't bother, and not bothering is the smart decision. Value is entirely subjective, and while you might need scarcity to make Tyranitar more valuable, people for whom Tyranitar is their favorite Pokemon aren't so capitalist in mindset and artificially depriving them of their favorite Pokemon.
What does that have to do with capitalism in a game that's single player?
Nothing. She can't put anything in a frame of reference of anything that's outside of her worldview. It has to be part of her worldview where it doesn't matter.
Pokemon is actually the worst decision a Pokemon game could ever make. I know I would hate it if a Pokemon game withheld Gardevoir from me until the post-game, and several of them have done just that. When you have a game series like this where the actual value of individual Pokemon is so subjective, artificially withholding many of those Pokemon is just punishing the people who dare to actually like them. Just for comparison, there's a series of ROM hacks made by Drayano that increase the difficulty of Pokemon games, but also make every Pokemon available. And just looking at a single route, there's such a huge variety of Pokemon in each area. Look at how many Pokemon are on Route 30 in Sacred Gold alone. There is no universe where this isn't better. Having all that variety, being able to make a...
Well, you see, there is a world where having all that variety is hard, and it's the fact that if something breaks in the code, you don't get to see those Pokemon. Or, the Pokemon encounter rates are so hard that they have to be tailored out in a specific way to allow you to have it. For example, I know that I just saw it say grass morning and grass night. So, why is the variety not good? It's so much better. Because probably there are some people who don't want to wait until nighttime. I can't remember. Was there a way to skip to day and night inside of Generation 2?
No.
So, they have to wait the in-game clock. Do you remember how long the in-game clock was?
It was matched to what normal time is.
Fuck.
It's literally 1-for-1 for your actual time.
Oh, fuck.
They've changed that now. It's like day and night cycle's like 30 minutes in the new games.
Okay. I assume this hack must have something that speeds it up, because fuck.
Yes, a lot of them have quality of life improvements. A lot of them do. And this goes towards to what her saying that there's no content that can come out of these. You're showing proof that there is.
Yes.
A ROM hack is still that game, just edited it in a way. The code is just adjusted in one way or another to make it either a better experience or replayability value.
You could honestly get away with this entire video just being, listen, man, that's your perspective. If you like playing ROM hacks, play ROM hacks. And you can be done with it.
I do. I play them all the time. My second channel has uploads of, like, 4 different kinds right now. 4 different ROM hacks.
I find it to be a bit of a cope that in a incomplete retrospective of Pokemon, you chose to use an example from a ROM hack to describe how content is lacking in the base game, and then you skipped the fucking quality of life buffs that were acquired in the remaster of that game for its installment.
Mm-hmm.
Did you not have enough money?
Such a good time ripping through this on my own. I have to at this point.
Like, did you not have enough money to buy them? Was that the reason why you skipped them?
It didn't matter because they weren't the first iteration of it. They're mainline. You can trade from them to the other mainline games.
Look at how many Pokemon are on Route 30 in Sacred Gold alone. There is no universe where this isn't better. Having all that variety, being able to make a unique and varied team every game will always be better than whatever the fuck Gen 2 is doing. Gen 2 is needless restrictive in this regard. You just
back it up again. Back it up to the screen of the stuff just like five seconds maybe ago. There. Notice what the 5% chance is there.
Ralts.
What does Ralts evolve into?
Ah, fuck, I don't remember.
What's her favorite Pokemon, Carl?
Oh, yeah.
Gardevoir.
Yeah.
That's why it's better for you, because you like the... Oh, and this isn't even a wrong hack of the original Silver and Gold. That's Heart Gold, Soul Silver. So it doesn't matter unless it's the ROM hack, then. Oh, bitch. Oh, bitch. Oh, bitch. Fuck you.
Sacred Gold alone. There is no universe where this isn't better. Having all that variety, being able to make a unique and varied team every game will always be better than whatever the fuck Gen 2 is doing. Gen 2 is needlessly restrictive in this regard. You just get so few Pokemon to work with, and with how flat the level curve is, it just feels bad. So many times playing through this, I found myself wanting to add a Pokemon to my team, only to look it up and realize that I could only get it in Kanto or with an item I get in Kanto. I wanted to get an Octillery because I've never used one before, but I can't because I needed a Super Rod to fish for one, even though it's in Johto.
Oh, so you want the face fucker? You want the Gok Gok? Is that what you want, Lily? You want the Gok Gok 5000?
All down the Johto road.
Yep, pretty much.
I wanted to get an Octillery because I've never used one before, but I can't because I needed a Super Rod to fish for one, even though it's in Johto. Oh, and it's not even available in Crystal version at all. Thanks, fuckers. Anyway, Olivine, Steel type Gym. Hello, Graveler. Say hello to Magnemite. Hello, Magnemite. Now say hello.
I mean, there's a simple answer there, and it's called then play the version it's in.
Oh. And guess what? They improve on some of this in fucking Crystal version. She didn't go over Yellow either, did she?
No. No, she did not.
Tell me you don't actually play these games or understand a full retrospective without telling me. Good fucking God.
Oh, that's not good. It's alright, Bailey's got this with Reflectant. You know, sometimes I really don't like you. It's alright, Mantine's got it. Good job, Mantine. 6 badge acquired. Getting into Mahogany Town, there's a problem. The gym is blocked off until you complete the underground rocket dungeon, which first requires defeating the shiny Gyarados at the Lake of Rage. This sets in motion the worst part of the damn game. I hope you like rocket fights because there's nothing but them for the next 2 hours. You gotta go through the rocket hideout, and then after you get the 7th badge, you have to trek through 3 different dungeons in Goldenrod City filled with samey, boring rocket fights, 2 of which are just the radio tower split into 2 parts, and fucking Christ, this sucks. Compared to the later games, it's not as egregious. I'd rather go through this than the 70 billion plasma encounters in Gen 5, but it is clear to see where Game Freak is picking up their bad habits. Cards on the table. Some people like the more involved JRPG plots Pokemon has had since Gen 4. People gas up Cyrus and he's the best antagonist the series ever had, but I fucking hate these two. Pokemon storytelling hasn't gotten better over the years, it's just gotten wordier. It takes more text
Silver is one of the best. Is one of the best. I would say N is probably the best. Silver being number 2. But her takes on N, holy fuck, they're infuriating. Like, tell me you do not read any of the story without telling me.
Well, she just said it. The games get wordier.
As of Cyrus and N is the best antagonist the series ever had, but I fucking hate these two. Pokemon storytelling hasn't gotten better over the years, it's just gotten wordier. It takes more text to do the same thing, and those bad habits start here. So Lance attacks a human being with a
so we have a problem with them having more story to them. More content for the game that you said didn't have enough content.
This is just elitism. Which is weird because these are not even opinions that actual elitists hold. Fucking Gen 1ers are fucking blushing right now.
the fully evolved dragon. Are we the baddies? And we descend into the rocket hideout. One workaround of the alarm system later, and we're at the bottom level. We need 2 passwords to open the door to the executive's office to get the real password for the generator, and then we destroy the electrode. If I'm breezing through this, it's because it's really not that interesting. So the Mahogany Gym is themed around ice, and the puzzle is a sliding ice puzzle. Basically, you have to find the one roundabout.
A thing that she's gonna continue doing.
So thanks for that, Game Freak.
She's gonna complain again about the puzzle again because it doesn't have a straightforward answer.
No, she's gonna complain about it not being everything being boring.
Mentioned before about the endurance inherent to dungeons, and I feel Mahogany Gym manages to get this vibe down better than most because it's actually a pain in the ass to get back out and back in again, so going back to the Pokemon Center to heal is at least somewhat discouraged. Anyway, time for Price. His first Pokemon is Seal, which is actually a water type, so eat leaves, and then comes Dugong, another water type, so more leaves. Price, you're getting your ass kicked by the type you're supposed to be good against. Step it up, old man. Sends out Piloswine, and I body it with a couple of flamethrowers. No big deal, no Lily Orchard bimbo moments today. 7th badge acquired. Oh shit. Oh, that means I have to. So Team Rocket is broadcasting a message on public radio demanding that Giovanni come back. Come on, baby, you'll be different this time. So I arrived at the Rocket Tower, find that it was infested with Team Rocket. Oh no! And they've taken the boss of the radio tower hostage. Oh no! And hit him in the basement to the mall behind a locked door and a button puzzle. Oh no! Wait, the mall has that? Why? Like, forget Team Rocket. Who the fuck put a button combination puzzle on the loading zone of a mall? Do you hate dock workers that much? What Amazon warehouse bullshit is this? Okay, so once you get the radio manager out, you have to go back through the lock gate to his office. Place him. It's an hour of tedious battles with the same.
I hate
equating this to our fucking current reality, you dumb cunt. The point is so that you stop having to deal with your reality for just a little while. Oh my god.
Escapism is not possible. Escapism is not possible.
Same grunts who all have the same Pokemon and fucking kill me now. Team Rocket was fun in the last game, but as I mentioned before, they're so pathetic and sad and in denial, I almost feel bad for fighting them. And the fact that every fight is a dull slog only makes fighting them worse. I don't just feel bad for them, I resent them for being so in denial that they're getting in the way of the game. Which, in a sick and twisted way, is pretty dark storytelling. But it's Pokemon. I don't want to beat up people who are clearly depressed. This is the same problem World of Warcraft had recently. I don't want to beat up someone who doesn't deserve it. Anyway,
I don't want to be a character playing it. Role-playing game. Role-playing game. You play a role in the game. Maybe you should take your ass to Stardew Valley. Maybe that's what you gotta do. Maybe you should keep your ass in Wizard with a gun.
Go away from the good content. Fuck off.
You can't play role-playing games.
They're not for you.
Like, even if they made a role-playing game for you, you would complain and say the game's not good enough because it doesn't have enough content in it. would be wild, because telling you to go to Stardew Valley, and the fact that Stardew Valley has so much content created by a single individual who's still in the middle of making a new game while making all those updates. Y'all motherfuckers tire the shit out of us. I swear to fucking God. You're contrarian for content.
Tourist.
Fucking contrarian for content, and your hatred of something that is nostalgic isn't just a hatred towards the people who find that nostalgia to be fun. You just fucking complain, and you whine, and you bitch, and you moan. Maybe if you took your ass to a CPSC class and actually sat through game design, and the majority of us who are bored out of our minds, because even though we understand the fundamentals, we still gotta go through them anyways, while we set up various different autism simulators, or are playing something like Terraria while doing those studies and lessons to understand how to write a script. You don't understand how these things are programmed. You don't understand it, you don't care to understand it, you just want to mold, because you want what you want, and that's all that matters to you. Fuck everything, fuck story, fuck the Pokemon, you just care so little. And it's only gonna get more painful.
She doesn't even catch more Pokemon. She catches barely anything in the other games. She has these very specific Pokemon that are a detriment to her because she thinks they're her favorite.
Return for all that.
Make it make sense.
Clear Bell, an item that lets you encounter Suicune in Tin Tower. Could I have a real reward, please? Okay, so there's one more thing to do before I get the last badge that's unique to Crystal. You need to go to Tin Tower and have a scripted encounter with the box legendary. Oh boy, I sure hope they don't overuse this plot point in literally every single game after this. That'd really suck. Oh, but you can't just go through. No, that would be simple. Instead, you need to battle the 3 sages before they will let you through. Anyway, I crossed the shadow of faith and went on to the dogs. 2 of them ran away and Suicune challenged me, and I killed it because Legos are boring. No, really, I don't think I've actually caught a non-mandatory legendary in a long time. You've seen, or however you pronounce it, gamers, at me about how great special Suicune is.
Why?
City is Ice Path, a dungeon.
Why? I literally, catching the legendaries is like one of my favorite things. Do you know how much fun I had as a kid catching them in fucking Pokeballs? That was like a status symbol. If you could pull that shit off, you were RN Jesus. What?
Outside of the concept of save scumming, I can't. Oh, that hurt my heart. I skipped getting a legendary Pokemon. Man, the Pokemon you actually want? That's a trophy at the end of the game. Poorly designed! Huh? What's that? A unique, rare, one-of-a-kind chance that will never happen again? Nah, fuck that shit! I threw it on the ground! I don't want your fucking ice, dog! Anti-fun. Anti-fun. That's the only thing I can use to describe it. Anti-fun. We're gonna go up to the hour mark because I need to prepare dinner. And then we will come back again next time.
Filled with movement puzzles. I actually think Ice Path is one of the more interesting dungeons, and not just because it has a unique tile set in Crystal, but because the strength and movement puzzles are a lot more interesting than just push a boulder onto a button. Furthermore, it follows my thing about good dungeon design. Because there's so much movement and puzzle solving, there are virtually no trainers here harassing you and getting in your way, and while Pokemon encounters don't happen on the ice tiles, this means 100% of your focus is spent on navigating the terrain. It really does feel like a dangerous cave. You need to be careful. Make it to Blackthorn City, I made a beeline straight for the gym. Blackthorn uses dragon types, of which there are only about 4 in the game. Dratini, Dragonair.
Very interesting concept there. There were no trainers, therefore, what was originally tedious is now fun. But when there's trainers, it's boring and empty. But when I'm not forced to interact with those trainers via the terrain and the design, then it's a slog. Trainers plus path that doesn't block equals boring. Dungeon slash city slash road with impassable terrain and forced combat equals tedium. Gym with puzzle with terrain equals sloth and tedium. Path and or terrain, no trainers, fun. What did Lily mean by this?
I don't think she even knows.
I mean, I have to parse this out from something. The only thing I can get from this is when I don't get pushed and pressed to understand a puzzle under pressure, then it's fun. When I have to function under pressure, I hate it. Bullshit. All of Pokemon is literally being under pressure. You're being pressured by the types, you're being pressured by the gym, you're being pressured by the weaknesses, you're being pressured by the puzzle design, you're being pressured by the, as you described it with Generation 1 and 2, the gauntlet of having enough power points to be able to manage the entire scenario and situation that you find yourself in. When it's just, Ooh, an empty frozen path for me to slide around on to get items on. La 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 la. La 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 la.
I hate people like her.
This is the equivalent of, I don't like random encounters in JRPGs. Because random encounters, I don't know when they're going to happen. But when I can see the encounter, and I can run away from the encounter, even though it's not random, even though it is random, but it's not random, then that's actually fun for me. Because I get to control when I get to play. Wait, why am I so underleveled? That's what that sounds like. Now, granted, part of this has to do with how they designed Johto and how they designed Kanto. But Johto and Kanto, being what they are, the mid-game, as she describes it, which is pretty much from, 15 to 35, and then everything up from there is just go mode. If all of the mid-game, up until, let's call it 35-40, is just a slog of power creep, shouldn't you want there to be more encounters? Shouldn't you be complaining that there isn't a zone? Like, in Final Fantasy, there's a zone of the map that's known as the Peninsula of Power. You go to this zone, and it's where you power farm. You can get good items, you can get good drops, you can get things to sell for gold to then buy the items that are going to be hard locked behind excruciatingly large gold amounts as a way to figure out if you're prepared to grind in the story. Multiple games have versions of these. Even Kingdom Hearts has a version of this. Actually, no. Kingdom Hearts is a good example to use it for. So, does anybody remember when they tried to do the mushrooms, the black truffles, as well as the white truffles?
Uh-huh.
You remember trying to go through each encounter, finding the particular materia necessary to be able to create the accessories? Let alone fighting the Heartless that you needed to find said accessories that might have taken a long time. I remember how long it took for me to make my Crystal Crown from scratch, where you had a finite number of drops to make it from.
Yeah.
Bangle, Ultima Blade, and of course I'm talking about the original Kingdom Hearts 1. A little bit less in Final Mix because they added new drops so that you didn't have that problem where you ran out of the material to make the items, because then you could only give it to either Sora or Donald or Goofy. But if the problem with the truffles was it's so hard to manage them, but and this was the tech, of course, especially with the white truffle. That one area in Halloween Town where you get them stuck on the head so you can smack and then smack and then smack consistently. I love the sewer corner. We all love the sewer corner. If that didn't exist, would it have taken away the fun of the challenge of doing the 100 bounce? Probably not. For me, it didn't. Because I learned how to do it on flat land before I complained about doing it inside of any other context. Because I do believe there's like maybe one, I might be misremembering wrong, but I think there was exactly one Hercules cup that had a truffle in it. And it was like the zone where you practiced. They didn't give any experience or any items if you dropped it, but you could practice doing it.
Yeah.
This is the consistency of that. You want to have the benefit and the consistency and the privilege of the convenience of something that it would be equatable in Kingdom Hearts as an easy one-button completion for every single challenge, especially if you're talking about the Mushroom 13. But every other context of every other instance of that challenge, you're mauling about. So, for every one-button solution Mushroom 13, I bet your bitch ass was complaining about the Titans. For every single opportunity to one-cycle Clayton in Deep Jungle in Kingdom Hearts 1, I bet your ass was getting one-tapped like Sephiroth.
Uh-huh. Don't beat your ass. Don't you're a cunt.
Because now all I want to see is how Lily Orchard approaches a Sephiroth fight. I want to see how many times they get comboed up a Heartless Angel into Backstab.
Oh, she won't go that far. She'll just keep going through the storyline until she completes it. She's not looking for all the other shit. Mm-mm. She just wants to go through the main story. She doesn't give a shit about all the other, like, side quests you can do.
But those side quests are a part of the story. If you don't complete the side quests, you don't actually know what the fuck is happening. Especially inside of the final mixes. Without having that additional context, you don't actually understand that, oh, that's what they meant by you can't do this in that way. Your soul travels through time, but not your body. So when he was there in that cloak, that was literally Xehanort. These things don't make context without that additional content. Because, of course, nobody understood that at the time. Because how the fuck would we be supposed to? The Japanese got that content to find out. Technically, they didn't get it in the proper way. Even then, that additional appearance, that additional boss fight that happens inside of Maleficent's room in Hollow Bastion, that is Final Mix content. That extra additional battle is not supposed to happen in the base game. And the less said about data fights, the better. Because data fights themselves, including Roxas's original data fight, the cutscene that we all had to watch, but we wanted to fight the first time we played Kingdom Hearts 2, the one that you have to see in order for you to ever get the attempt to unlock Final Form, or Anti-Form, because it's required as a 50% chance to trigger it. Mm-hmm. You don't get that without doing that work. And you don't survive those fights and learn those fights or the tech. Nothing to be said about the fucking fighting system of Kingdom Hearts Final Mix to begin with. Those who struggle through Stopra and Magnet and Reflect training know exactly what I'm talking about. We will not sugarcoat it. I will use Fenrir. I will slam your head. I will not give a shit. I will negative combo you never-endingly. Go fuck yourself, like, Lingering Will. The same philosophy. It's the same philosophy, it's the same mindset, it's the same egotistical viewpoints, and no substance behind it. With a couple of memes sprinkled in. That seems to be her opinion so far.
Pretty much.
Dragonite and Kingdra. They're also supplemented with Horsey and Seadra as well. As you can see, not many Gen 2 Pokemon. This is a complaint of Gen 2 as a whole, in that half the new roster has to take a backseat, especially where gyms are concerned. The fight with Claire starts with Dragonair, but she paralyzes Butterfree and then gets in a crit slam. What the hell? Fine, Golem's got this. Don't worry, Butterfree, I still love you. But then she pulls out a second Dragonair who freezes my Golem. You're just being mean at this point. So I brought out Mantine, and looking at his moveset, can you guess which move I decided to use against the Dragon-type Pokemon? That's right, it was Surf. It's alright, I won anyway, no harm done. And then there's a third Dragonair. You have three.
Oh, you're dumb.
Three. Fine, Ice Beam this one too.
Getting comboed. Did you forget the Dragonite can use Thunderbolt? Get comboed!
Whatever, Iron Tail, I don't like this gym. Claire sends out Kingdra, who is super bulky and gets hooked up to an IV full of Hyper Potions, which means I lost. I really don't like this gym. Tried it again, made better decisions, and managed to win. But, Claire...
What's that? What did you do? Say it one more time. I didn't hear you correctly. Say it again. What was that?
Kingdra, who is super bulky and gets hooked up to an IV full of Hyper Potions, which means I lost. I really don't like this gym.
Oh, but remember when you used that tactic? Oh, is it cheap? Are you about to complain and say it's cheap? And then what did you say you did? I didn't hear you.
Tried it again, made better decisions, and managed to win. But...
What was that? You did it again? And you made better making better decisions? I was told that you have to do this first try flawless. What about those PokeTubers? Your perfect little princess team. All your favorites. You struggled and you had to try again and persevere? Oh no, how could this be? No!
I would absolutely love to watch this bitch try and play Rad Red. Good God, Radical Red will annihilate her asshole.
You're not a serious person, Lily. You're not a serious person.
But, Claire won't give me the badge because she thinks I'm still not ready for the Pokemon League. She says I have to talk to the Dragon Elders and take a little U quiz they made before she'll give it to me. I really don't like this gym. The Dragon's Den... Oh, this music's gonna be the end of me. The Game Boy speaker really struggles with some tracks in this. Oh, this is torture. I actually always wonder what would happen if you got any of the questions wrong, but it turns out he just says, huh? Didn't catch that? And makes you answer again, and the only penalty is that the Dratini you get doesn't have extreme speed. Oh no, if only I liked Dragonite and wasn't quite so good at alienating people. You fucking heard me, old man. Eventually, I gave up my stubborn insistence on being difficult and gave him the answers he wanted to hear, and then he lectured his granddaughter to give me the badge. 8th badge acquired. Well, that was an ordeal and a half. Crazy thing. This time, Victory Road is actually a road. Most of the route is an overworld area, with the only major cave being mercifully short. You have to travel to Kanto along this winding route through Mount Silver that culminates in a small tunnel with crap. I had to have one more fight with Kyle Ron, who I'm realizing just a little bit too late that I should have named Hunter. I bully him and he just doubles down, whatever, I didn't like him anyway. The Gen 2 Elite Four is slightly different this time around. We have Will, Koga, Karen, and the one we don't talk about using Psychic, Poison, Dark, and Fighting. Will's up first, and thankfully Psychic type still still have the same fatal flaw in this gen that they had in Gen 1 of being vulnerable to physical attacks. Even better, Will has 2 Zatsu who are weak to rock, so Golem's on point here. This Executor got off a cheeky little reflect, the asshole. But his Pokemon are also weak to fire, so we're all good. I caught Slowbro in an Encore trap and then crunched his special defense before blasting with Razor Leaf. His last Zatsu caught me a really bad string of confusion, but luckily for me, Meganium is bulky as crap. Probably noticing that this time around my Pokemon are a lot more bulky and defensive. This is because Gen 2 is extremely stingy with Pokemon XP and moves, and so high defense is the most reliable strategy to get through painlessly unless you're just spamming Typhlosion. It's also why I kept Togepi and why I got both Chikorita and Geodude. Going into Koga, his Pokemon are mostly poison and bug. I thought this would mean I'd need Butterfree and Togetic since...
The only thing I didn't notice, that spamming Typhlosion. I heard that spamming Typhlosion. How many times in this video is she going to consistently and stubbornly refuse to actually make a team?
Every single generation.
When you play a strategy game, you have to play the bomb, dude. So, small segue. When I complain at people in multiplayer games that are based on team-based environments that are about multi-consecutive objectives to win, like League, some of the biggest complaints come from not understanding how to draft. Understanding your draft is the exact same rock, paper, scissors design that most games have, especially when you're talking about a game that has over 100 different selections, let alone 160 and counting in perpetuity. Between it, Smite, and a couple of other games, it's a very, very big roster. Comparable to the entire extended Universal Pokédex that exists inside of Pokemon. To learn how to win requires throwing away and emptying your cup of any of the information that you thought was relevant. If the game says this is what you need to use, then you use this. If the game says this is what you need to use, then you use this. Just because you have a favorite pick does not mean that pick is going to work 100% of the time. And if you want to use that pick 100% of the time as a one-trick pony, you have to learn how to get over the counters and the weakness of that character and of that strategy. Tactic, technically. Strategy is long-term. Tactic is short-term. In order to float the game long enough to survive and win off of your basic concept. Your macro play, the things that you do on the small scale level that add up over time, creates the macro play that then systems the strategy that you will use to win. Complaining that your team got shot on because they're mismatching their opposite weakness strength types and or are made up of your favorite Pokemon does not mean that it's a bad strategy. Because I said this earlier about the first game. It's your choice. You chose to make the game harder on yourself. And you're complaining that you made the game harder on yourself. And you're upset that you didn't sweep it the first time. So then you get mad as shit? And you maul and complain, but then bite your tongue saying, I had to do it again. And after saying all that bullshit a cope about your characters, about complaining about the fucking strategic value that comes from the competitive scene of Pokemon trainers. This is like dealing with a client that decided to hire me for $100 for 2 hours. Because I wanted to be nice on their first trial. And after seeing what they had to offer me, I charged them an extra $50 because they're clearly wasting my time. Why are you wasting our time with your bullshit opinion about your fucking starters and about your teams when you're clearly doing it out of a vendetta of spite and not as an experiment to see if it's possible? Because we've all done this experiment. We've all played these Pokemon games at least once. Some type of a generation. We've all done it. Tedium is tedium. It's going to be hard. Complaining and then having a vendetta against people because they didn't like your particular Pokemon does not consist of an argument for a franchise to be bad because you say so. Oh my god! Ugh!
since they have psychic moves, but Golem just swept the competition. So now I'm going into
Silencio Bruno.
namely Butterfree's on point to humiliate him the same way I did last time. Psychic and Solar Beam. I may have hit a Solar Beam where I meant the Psychic, but it's all good. At least until Machamp got off that cheeky little rock slide, Butterfree will have her vengeance. It's okay, I have an extra. Moving on to Karen, I have a fighting type, so I tried just spamming submission to come out on top. But sadly, the reality of what submission means meant that wasn't going to work. But it's fine. Togetic and Golem picked up the slack. On to Lance, my second least favorite champion. This fight can either be really hard or really easy.
Fucking cringe. Stop it with the fucking cringe shit, woman. Jesus Christ.
Depending on how you played so far. The thing is that Lance is a Dragon Master, but his Pokemon are more Dragon in vibe than in type. He has 3 Dragonite who all have different elemental moves for coverage, a Gyarados, an Aerodactyl, and a Charizard. This obviously means you can't ice your way to victory. It doesn't work. Pause for effect. Instead, you have to rock your way to victory because all of his Pokemon are weak to rock type attacks. I'm serious. All of them. And your only threat is Blizzard from 1 Dragonite. Once it's out of the picture, you're in the clear. A little bit anticlimactic now that I think about it. Yeah, so, I'm gonna be honest here. I'm not a fan. While it is ultimately Gen 1 but with more stuff, Gen 2 is completely hamstrung by its extremely stingy offerings of Pokemon. All the fun Pokemon are locked away in the post-game. That's not where they should be. They should be here in the main game. That's how the last one worked. That's how every gen works. It makes absolutely no sense to make 100 new Pokemon and then take all the cool ones and seal them off in the post-game. Follow me on this. In Generation 1, how many Pokemon are in Cerulean Cave that you can't acquire anywhere else in the game? 1. Mewtwo. That's it. That's the only one. Arguably, more Kanto Pokemon should have been locked to Kanto, with more Johto Pokemon being in Johto. In all 3 Gen 2 games, Houndour can only be found on Route 7 in Kanto. That's it. This is a Johto Pokemon. Why isn't he in Johto? This is also the case for Larvitar, Murkrow, and Misdreavus. It wouldn't be until the remakes where this was alleviated with the return of the Safari Zone, but in the original games, you get this very...
You're not gonna call that out of you.
Why are you coming though? You didn't put him on the list!
No. You're not even gonna cover the post-game content. You're not even gonna touch that. Nope. I hate everything
Pokemon play with for arguably no reason other than making them into trophy mons. This is a problem that no Pokemon game has ever repeated. You can still catch the really cool and interesting Pokemon of each generation before the midpoint of the game. Gen 3 does not arbitrarily withhold slack and bring them from you. If you want them, they're right there. This is an objective problem of Generation 2, and it's kind of wholly the problem. The whole appeal of a new gen is getting to play with new Pokemon. Why would you try to stop us from doing that? The appeal of Kanto should be reacquiring older favorites, not finding half the new Pokemon you've hidden away. The end result is that some Pokemon will never be on someone's team because you just can't get them. This is a problem in every generation, but Gen 2 is the worst offender here, and I think that's significant enough to warrant a very harsh criticism. It is because of that, Gen 2 does not even come close to eclipsing its predecessor. It might be the only flaw with the generation, but it is a big one, and it's telling that this was not something they would ever repeat.
And Kanto doesn't exist.
I'm a kid of the 90s, so I grew up with the very first Pokemon games, but Generation 3 and Hoenn remains to this day my all-time favorite gen. It introduced many of my favorite characters.
We can probably end it here.
Okay, that's fine.
Because these are gonna go for a while. It's so bad.
Oh my god. 2 fucking generations, and I'm just sitting here wondering, how the fuck do you enjoy any game ever?
And it gets worse. The most infuriating part is when she gets to Gen 5 and talks about N. It's so infuriating. It's like really bad. It's very emblematic of the kind of person she is, so I am excited for you to get to that. Holy fuck. Oh.
What's gonna fucking cause me more anger? The fact that I can't get my Twitter account back just yet, or that I have to eventually listen to the very bad, wrong opinions of a person who doesn't understand game design, let alone the franchise they want to play. It's gotta probably be the fucking latter, dude.
It's not just that. She doesn't understand the story of something, so she completely misconstrues the entire story of Gen 5. 100% misconstrues the entire thing. I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but I know Saf will lose her fucking mind. Because apparently she really likes N. So, yeah, it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be rage-inducing, especially because the topics that Gen 5 goes through with Getsis and N. It's so bad. I mean, and generally, I'm not a fan of the Gen 5 games, but I do think that the story is really good. I'm not a fan of the Gen 5 games. That's where I started to kind of tune out. But still, fuck, man.
Catch it all next time. Probably tomorrow, chat. Oh my god. I am It's not even a Sparks Note. It's not even a Smarts Note version of the game's lore. It's just completely wrong, isn't it?
Yep. Everything about this is wrong.
Oh, my head hurts.
Very rarely is there any kind of agreement with what she says. Very rarely.
Catch it next time, chat. On the next versus chat. Goodbye, everyone. Oh my god.